Out on the day after the regular season finale. The Minnesota Vikings trying to cap a memorable regular season with its 15th victory. They can achieve it today against the Tennessee Oilers. Their last game as the Oilers, who are looking to finish with their first winning record in 5 years. And thanks for joining us, everyone. Along with Matt Millen, I'm Dick Stockton. Hope you're enjoying the holiday season. And Matt, the Minnesota Vikings are certainly enjoying this holiday with all of the records they have set, having a tremendous year. But after watching the Denver Broncos lose 2 in a row, questions about them. I'm sure Denny Green doesn't want to lose any momentum going into the playoffs.
Oh, I don't think there's any question about that. And I think what you have to do is go back and look how they got here, which is how they'll approach this game. And that's been to play solid defense and then also to have some big plays. Now, big plays are funny because you can't really count them. They're like turnovers. But the Minnesota Vikings have done them with regularity. And the way they've done it on the front end has been Randall Cunningham. And on the receiving end in this holiday season, has been all season long, has been Randy Moss and Chris Carter.
Randall Cunningham, by the way, playing with a broken bone in his left hand, but expect to see Brad Johnson at quarterback in the second half. Now, as far as the Oilers are concerned, and of course, they're looking to finish 9-7. And Jeff Fisher is a battler, a member of the '85 Bears. He likes the smash mouth football style, and I think he's trying to establish that today.
I think he is, and I think he's getting there. And they play good, tough defense. And, you know, I was sitting here and I was listening to our pregame show, and Chris Collinsworth said something that struck a chord. And he talked about being physical and punishing, and it hit me that at one point that style is going to have to meet up with Randy Moss. And nobody has really played him physically. And so I would expect today at some point we're going to see the two paths cross. I would expect that they're going to try to throw a beating on Randy Moss.
So it'll be the Vikings and the Oilers from Music City, USA in Nashville, and we'll have the opening kickoff in just a moment.
Jingle bell, jingle bell rock.
Here in Nashville, Tennessee, 42 degrees at kickoff, and that is a far cry from the ice and the snow we had during the week. In fact, the Oilers unable to practice practically the entire week. In fact, they had more snow here than in Green Bay, Wisconsin, and Minneapolis for sure, as the Vikings have their fans in full force here to try to complete a 15-1 season. Mitch Berger will kick off for the Vikings, leads the NFL in touchbacks. And back deep for the Oilers, Mike Archie, along with Rodney Thomas. Archie, in his second year from Penn State, has been the chief kickoff returner.
And there's a player, let me tell you. Good academic background.
Well, he can play football, we know that. The opening kickoff, and Archie returning from the 5-yard line for the Oilers. And a good return for Mike Archie as he finally steps out of bounds beyond the 40-yard line as Pete Bursich forced him. That was a 36-yard kickoff return. Good start for Tennessee. And let's check out their offense. Improved this year. Steve McNair, a bona fide two-way threat, leading NFL quarterbacks in rushing. Up front, Hopkins, Matthews, the veteran, Stepnoski, Lehman, and John Runyon. Eddie George, the premier running back, Frank Wycheck, their top receiver, Yancey Thigpen, the other wide receiver, along with rookie Kevin Dyson, and Jackie Harris, the tight end, who also has produced this year. First down at the 42. Passing on first down, and the pass is bobbled by Thigpen. Incomplete is the call, and that'll bring up second down and 10. Defensively for the Minnesota Vikings, John Randall the last 5 or 6 weeks have been lining up as a defensive end with Jerry Ball, Tony Williams, and Derek Alexander. 8-year veteran Bobby Houston is starting in place of the injured Dixon Edwards, out with back spasms. In the secondary, Jimmy Hitchcock, who's returned 3 for scores, with Thomas Griffith, and also back there, Corey Fuller. Second down and 10. On the draw play, Eddie George finds an opening. Gets into Viking territory. Short of the first down by about 1.5 yards with Jerry Ball and Jimmy Hitchcock from the secondary making the stop.
Dick, when you look at this Tennessee team, especially offensively, they have a lot of pieces to the puzzle. But what they've really lacked has been big plays. And they've been an offense that has been methodical. And one of the things that's killed them has been bad field position, really all season long. Dang, they're starting this game out here with great field position and a chance to get it rolling offensively early.
There's Thigpen, the former Pittsburgh Steeler, a big free agent pickup. Out of the shotgun on 3rd down and 2. Mike Archie is looking to throw, and Archie's going to be trapped way behind inside the 45. Robert Griffith involved in the play. Bobby Houston as well, and it was Houston who's played most of his career with the Jets who made the big play and a loss of 8.
And a play like that, the key is always getting penetration up the field. And then the other key would have been coverage down the field. The Vikings had both. They were going to try to hit Dyson down the field, but he was covered well by Hitchcock.
Talk about big free agent pickups as David Palmer goes back deep. Craig Hentrick, the former Packer, leading the NFL in punting. And the Vikings coming in trying to block that one with Dwayne Rudd coming in. The kick goes out of bounds at the 22-yard line, and they scuffle early in the game. This is only the day after Christmas. Too early for scuffling. Matt.
Hey, Merry Christmas. No, Merry Christmas. No, Merry Christmas to you.
Well, the Vikings, the scoring machine going on offense for the first time. Randall Cunningham, highest rated passer in the NFL. Todd Stussy, Randall McDaniel, Jeff Christie, David Dixon, and Mr. Versatile Everett Lindsay starting for Corey Stringer at right tackle. Smith and Evans in the backfield. Chris Carter and Randy Moss, Pro Bowl wide receivers. And Andrew Glover is the tight end. And there is Lindsay, who's played all the offensive positions on the line this year. First down from the 22-yard line. And it's a running play, and it's Robert Smith, and he goes nowhere. Eddie Robinson, outside linebacker, no gain on the play. Defensively, James Roberson, Henry Ford, Gary Walker, and Pratt Lyons, the defensive line. Robinson, who just made the play, Joe Bowden and Lonnie Martz are the linebackers. Darrell Lewis and Denard Walker, the cornerbacks. Steve Jackson again for Marcus Robertson, and Pro Bowler Blaine Bishop is the strong safety. 2nd and 10 on the 22. And again, they go to Robert Smith up the middle, and Smith picking up about 6 yards on the play. James Roberson, the defensive end, making the stop.
You know, Dick, when you look at this Minnesota Viking offense, you see all the weapons that they have, and the year that Randall Cunningham is having, I think it comes down to 2 people. I think the running game with Robert Smith, because if they spread you out, he can kill you. And then you have to always watch Chris Carter, because Carter is the move the chains guy, and Chris Carter is the reason Moss has had the season.
Matthew Hatchett, number 89, the 3rd wide receiver, checks in from the 30, and the swing pass and a great one-handed catch by David Palmer, ridden out of bounds, close to the first down, and it's going to be very tight. Denard Walker on the play, and it may be close enough for a measurement.
That was a great catch. That was a great catch. There's another piece of the puzzle that has made this Minnesota Viking picture so clear. And it's just, you know, one word. I mean, that's just athleticism right there. Palmer goes up, and then watch how he tries to get the first at the end. A little bit of a straight arm against the bigger guy, and he's just gives it enough to be about 5 inches, 6 inches short.
Okay, as you pointed out, every time David Palmer has been in the lineup this year, he has done something either as a kick return man, receiver, or rusher. Very valuable offensive potent weapon.
You cannot measure what he has because he's a little guy, but what he has is big playability.
So they missed by inches, thus Mitch Berger will come in to kick it away, and back deep is Derek Mason. We're seeing a quartet of outstanding kickers. Del Greco and Hentrick for the Oilers, Anderson and Mitch Berger for the Vikings today.
Not only that, there's 4 of them out there.
And not a barbershop quartet in the bunch. Booming kick off the foot of Berger will send Mason back to about the 1-yard line. And he won't get up to the 15-yard line. Credit Mitch Berger with the big kick, 67 yards on the play. Oilers with their second possession. We'll be right back. Back here at Vanderbilt Stadium, no score, and the Oilers Inside their 15 will start from the 13 as Hendrick with a 67-yard punt, the longest of his career.
Dick, that was not a smart move by Mason. That thing, you plant your feet on the 10-yard line. If it goes over your head, you take your chances. He started returning that thing from about the 1-yard line, and you're inside the 15 again. Not a good move.
Steve McNair with the long count and the stutter count as Jerry Ball crossed the line. Let's see if he was drawn off by the Oilers. And a false start is the penalty against Tennessee. And it's against the tight end, Jackie Harris.
This is a 5-yard penalty. Still first down.
You got Jerry Ball to jump in there. And that's a lot of jumping going on inside. Jerry Ball, I think Jerry Ball has played. He's played very, very well. I mean, extremely well. And it's the best I've seen him play really since he was in Detroit. And he's a big reason why this defense is playing at the level it's playing at.
Big run stopper for the Vikings. 1st and 15 back to the 8. Here's Eddie George, and he's going nowhere. And Jerry Ball, you're just talking about him. He doesn't get underway.
This is a perfect example. See, what Jerry Ball is doing now, which I haven't seen him done, is he gets penetration. Watch him come straight up the field. Stepnoski's going to have to come over to get him, but, you know, he plays with the same leverage as Stepnoski. He gets the push 2 yards in the backfield, and he still stops him for a 2-yard loss. I think Jerry Ball has played very, very well this year. I mean, extremely well.
15 tackles for losses on the play going against Stepnoski, who's much lighter than Ball. 2nd and 13. And under big pressure, that's penalty marker is down.
That could be a safety right there.
It would be if he is avoiding a sack, throwing it away, grounding in the end zone. Tom White, the referee, will make the call.
See Orlando Thomas coming over. Hey, I want the safety. Intentional grounding.
Intentional grounding in the end zone. That penalty is a safety.
Bingo.
That's it.
Bingo. And Dick, the way they got it, they jumped to a bare front. See, they jumped. Watch, they tried to cover in down 3. Backers outside, walk the safety up, and then you come right up inside. Now, the question is he in the end zone? Well, he's avoiding the end zone to get in there. Ed McDaniel comes clean, and he's throwing it out to nowhere. He's not in the end zone, but he's going to the end zone. And the point is, if he doesn't throw it, it is a safety.
He was heading for the end zone with that kind of pass rush.
Cleanup, aisle 5. Can't afford all.
He's leading 2-0, and we're going to take another look at this after the kickoff. And maybe a questionable call. It is a judgment call by the official as to whether McNair was in the end zone when he got rid of it amidst the pressure. David Palmer returning the kickoff as the Vikings retain possession, and Palmer on the return carries it out to the 42-yard line.
Okay, the rule says he'd have to be in the end zone to avoid the sack. It's a judgment call, like Dick said. Now, his foot would come down. Let me run it back just a little bit right there, okay? In the estimation of this official, he's saying that right there is going to be, it would be a sack in the end zone, and it would be a safety. Now, of course, the Oilers are going to fight it, and that's a tough one, especially because we're showing it to you slowed down frame by frame. But in his estimation, it's a safety.
So the Vikings leading 2-0, penalty marker down. And the flag came down, and the play nullified before it got underway. Normally indicating a penalty against the offense.
Snap. False start. Number 80. Offense. 5-yard penalty.
Chris Carter.
First down.
So it is a first down still and a 5-yard penalty called against the Vikings. Denny Green, and talking about the great offensive exploits of the Vikings, said secretly it has been the defense which has really set the tone for his team this year.
Well, and then they have gotten big plays, but they've also been able to do it with the confidence of knowing this offense can score tons of points.
Takes a lot of pressure off of it. Vikings starting from the 37. Randall Cunningham on the screen pass to Leroy Horde. unable to handle it, and that'll bring up 2nd down and long.
And you look at this Minnesota Viking offense, and you say basically it's the same team they finished with last year, except for one major difference, and that's Randy Moss. And what has he brought to this team? Well, he's brought the ability for big plays, and it's something you can't quantify. It's just out there, and he has that ability. Howie Long was talking about that kind. You can see him. He's up here all by himself right now. In fact, there's a safety sneaking back here. That's what Randy Moss has done to defense.
2nd and 15, and Cunningham looking for Randy Moss on the slant, and Terry Killens gets a piece of it, and that will bring up 3rd down and long. So already the Oilers trying to make life miserable for Moss.
See, here's the safety sitting up here. That's what Randy Moss has done, and that enables your corner to be able to drive and play physical on the upper end on this, because he has the confidence of knowing the safety sitting back there. And then you watch inside. Does a nice job of coming down inside, and Terry Killens, number 50, another Penn State guy, incidentally.
Thanks for the plug.
Thank you.
Best in the NFL, the Vikings on 3rd down conversions. They need 15 yards and another flag. So right now, the Minnesota offense a bit out of sync. Their defense getting him the first point.
Start. Number 61, offense, 5-yard
Everett
penalty.
Lindsey, who is
3rd down.
starting at right tackle for the injured Corey Stringer, and another 5-yard penalty.
There's Brian Billick, the offensive coordinator, whose name is floating all over the place for sounds like there's going to be a bunch of job openings this offseason.
3rd down and 20. Oilers backed up to the 32-yard line. Cunningham goes downfield, and the pass intended for Hatchett thrown away. And that will bring up 4th down, and the Vikings will have to kick. So a stuttering offensive series for the Minnesota Vikings.
Dick, there's so many weapons on this Minnesota team. The one that people forget about is number 7, the quarterback. Watch Lonnie Martz. See, he lines up right here. See him? He now is going to shadow Randall Cunningham because he knows you can take coverage down the field. They've rushed 3. That gave them 8 in coverage. And they want to make sure Cunningham's not going to beat him with his feet.
An unusual kick by Berger. Not as long as usual, and it's fielded by Derek Mason. And the Oilers will take over as, again, tempers begin to flare. So as we take a timeout, Merry Christmas, and our crew wishes you all a happy holiday. Head coach of the Minnesota Vikings, but things fell into place. Red McCombs became the owner. McCombs and Dennis Green on the same page. Great marketing. Minnesota has become a great franchise now, and the Metrodome, one of the loudest indoor stadiums in the league.
It's funny what winning does, doesn't it?
And winning big in the Vikings case. Oilers starting from the 21-yard line, and here is Eddie George, and nothing there. George has had his problems in the last 6 games, has not gained much yardage, even though he is one of the top rushers in the AFC, 3rd in the league conference coming in, but he has been stymied as of late.
Yep. Eddie George is he's a man. I mean, he's a big man, 6'3", you say 240. The key for him is he's got to break that line of scrimmage. Once he gets to the other side of that line of scrimmage, he can just absolutely abuse secondaries and linebackers.
At his 2nd lowest production of the season last week against Green Bay. 2nd down and 10. McNair dropping back to throw, and this is what he may do best. Takes off, runs, slides, and gets the first down. No fumble. The play was blown dead at the 35-yard line, and so a 14-yard pickup by Steve McNair and an Oiler first down.
Well, Dick, he does run well, like you mentioned, but I don't believe it's a thing he does best, because his best is coming. He sees the field now better than he did, and he'll continue to see it better. He makes good decisions. They don't turn the ball over here down in Tennessee. He just needs a little bit more time, but he is definitely on the right path.
Oilers on their 35, and again Eddie George. And George doesn't get much, maybe a yard. Robert Griffith coming up from the secondary to make the tackle. The Oilers improved offensively this year, but so far 3 and out on their first possession, and then called for the safety on their second. A questionable judgment call, you might say, as McNair got rid of it before he was rushed into his own end zone. But it's 2-0 Minnesota. Now the Vikings need only 10 points to become the highest scoring team in history. 2nd and 9. And here is George trying to go outside. Eddie George bounces off a defender, gets the first down for Tennessee.
Dick, that's exactly what I was talking about with Eddie George. Once he gets past that line of scrimmage, he can just abuse the other end. Now, Wycheck does a nice job here of tying up John Randall. And then once Eddie George gets there, he's a load. He's going to try to arm under him to get to the outside. Wycheck got away with a little hold there, I would say, but that's the way they block when they're in tight ends in this National Football League.
Good editorial comment.
And then you watch Eddie George at the end. So you better bring the whole load when you're going to tackle him.
Picked up 10 yards. Oilers with a first down. On the bootleg, McNair, and the pass is caught into Viking territory, and a first down. That was Jackie Harris, the former Tampa Bay Buccaneer, and he picks up 21 yards. And the Oilers are in business with Rudd making the stop.
Now, this is what the quarterback of the 90s has to be able to do. You have to be able to throw, obviously, but you have to use those feet to create some situations. It's a nice play call by Les Steckel, their offensive coordinator, of moving him around and using what he does, and a nice throw to Jackie Harris.
Mentioned Les Steckel, the offensive coordinator. He was head coach of the Vikings for 1 year in 1984. Team had a 3-13 record. Doing the job now with the Oilers.
He's also my playground instructor as a kid.
Here is George on first down, trying to go outside and trailed by Bobby Houston. Maybe a yard or so on the play. And that was kind of a mixed-up handoff that time between McNair and Eddie George.
You know, Dick, when you watch this Minnesota Viking defense, the one thing that really stands clear is they can flat-out run. I mean, the guy who's really given them a great deal of speed is Dwayne Rudd, 57. And Ed McDaniel inside can run, but he also has great instinct, and that's where their speed really shows. Very few times you're going to run away from this group.
2nd and 9 on the 32 of the Vikings. McNair fakes the handoff, has time, steps up, and the pass thrown underneath to Kevin Dyson, and the rookie from Utah gives the Oilers a first down inside the 20-yard line. Ed McDaniel, the middle linebacker, made the tackle and a gain of 14, and an impressive drive on the 3rd series by the Oilers.
Well, what you see with this group the whole time has been no pressure, except for blitzing. If they don't blitz, they haven't gotten pressure. That time they did bring Rudd. Jackie Harris did a good job of picking him up. And then because he's picked up nicely, right there, watch Jackie Harris stays on Rudd. McNair can step up in the pocket, find the time, and is able to hit him for the first down.
Oilers with a first down on the 18-yard line, going with 2 tight ends. McNair getting away from one defender, McDaniel, and McDaniel comes back to tackle him. Jerry Ball was the second man in, but it was Ed McDaniel who gets credit for the sack and a loss of 10 yards.
And what he wanted to be able to do was find Dyson down the field. You're going to watch Thigpen is going to break to the outside. Dyson's going to come across to the middle. But what he's going to see is he's going to see this right to his face. McDaniel misses him, and then Jerry Ball was right there. But had he been able to avoid the first one, he had Dyson to the back of the end zone.
Brings up 2nd down and 20. Derek Mason, number 85, has come in as the 3rd wide receiver, and Steve McNair and the Oilers calling their first timeout of the first half. The Vikings lead 2-0 with 4:38 to go in the first.
Faster than extra strength. Toyotathon, celebrating 20 years of incredible value. By Visa, the preferred card of the NFL that's everywhere you want to be. By Brewery Fresh Budweiser, who reminds you fresh beer tastes better. And by the motor oil that provides maximum protection. Castrol GTX. Drive hard.
Dick Stockton and Matt Millen back here at Vanderbilt Stadium as the Oilers moving into a spanking new 67,000 seat stadium next year with a new name known as the Titans. So this is the last game as the Oilers. Second down and 20 from the 28. Oilers calling a timeout. McNair out of the shotgun. And McNair gets tripped up, regains his footing. And McNair finally put down by Ed McDaniel at the 22-yard line, still about 12 yards short of the first down. And when you're 14-1, you're used to playing with a lead, but how about this kind of a lead? The Vikings have been behind only 10% this year and have trailed in the fourth quarter only once all year, and that was the game they lost in Week 9 to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. So it, as Matt pointed out, takes a lot of pressure off that defensive unit.
Funny, Chris Carter told us last night the team that was the most patient and knew how to play them was Tampa Bay. They knew to be able to just stay patient with us on defense.
And they ran the ball right at him. This is the 10th play of the drive. And McNair's pass is caught by Dyson. And out of bounds, still about 10 yards or so short of the first down. So Al Del Greco will come onto the game, one of the premier place kickers in the National Football League. And with the Oilers down 2-0, trying to give them the lead here with 3:43 to go in the first quarter.
Minnesota Vikings secondary has done a nice job of taking throws down the field away from McNair, and he's had to throw underneath the majority of the time.
Del Greco, as you saw, leading the NFL with 33 field goals, 14 in a row. This is from 36 yards away. And Al Del Greco, not quite as perfect as Gary Anderson has been this year, but pretty darn good. Gives the Oilers the lead, but there's a penalty marker down. So let's wait to see what Tom White has to tell us.
They got a lot more conferences going on since they got rid of instant replay, didn't they? I think that's the one thing that came out of instant replay. Conferences.
The field goal is good. Well after the play was over, we have a personal foul. Unnecessary roughness. Number 69, Tennessee. That penalty be enforced on the kickoff, and 69 is ejected.
Well, it's the end of Runyon. He's gone.
Runyon is gone. A promising right tackle for the Oilers. A tough loss for Jeff Fisher, but the field goal by Del Greco from 36 yards out is good, and Tennessee leads it now 3-2.
Ejected. Now, that's typical play. Okay, push there. Okay, a little bit extra. There's a little push by Jerry Ball. Okay, now watch this. Oh, take that! Hits him right smack dab below the belt.
Not in the holiday spirit, man.
And then, you know, the funniest part, I mean, it was stupid to do that, obviously, but the funniest part was he got up and he tried to run away like nobody would see a 6'7", 325-pound guy hitting somebody right square in the crotch. Yeah, watch the end of this. Look, like, I didn't do anything up. Let me just get on out of here. Nobody saw anything.
So John Runyon is history and will leave the premises.
John Runyon has to learn to be patient if you're going to retaliate.
Craig Hendrick kicking off from the 15 following that unsportsmanlike call, and David Palmer returning for the Vikings. And Palmer is hit at the 35-yard line. Samari Rolle, who is expected to see action in the secondary, and a much-heralded rookie making a big play. Well, tomorrow, the final weekend of the regular season, it ends with the classic NFC Central matchup as the Green Bay Packers take on the Chicago Bears, plus other regional action. Coverage begins with a pregame show featuring the 1998 Terry Awards at noon Eastern, 9 a.m. Pacific on Fox. Packers win, the 49ers lose, and Green Bay would host the wild card. Unusual for the Vikings, looking at the total yard gap. Hand off to Robert Smith. He's got the opening, and he's got a lot of room. And it's Blaine Bishop who knocks him out of bounds. after a huge gain of 27 yards by Robert Smith, who returned last week against Jacksonville.
Well, this is what the Minnesota Viking offense does to you, see, because it spreads you out, and then Robert Smith, he'll gash you. The chance to really hurt the Minnesota Vikings is when they had Leroy Horde, but not because Horde's anything less. He's a different type. And they had the chance then to get him because Horde isn't going to beat you with a 50-yard run every now and then like Smith can take it to the house every play.
First down on the 36, and again they go to Robert Smith. Not much that time. Smith missed 2 games with a sprained left knee. He's had his injury problems over the season, but largely healthy this year and gained 101 yards in his return against Jacksonville.
Dick, you know, the entire left side of the Minnesota offensive line is going to the Pro Bowl. Stussy, McDaniel, and Jeff Christian. I think the really good pick is Jeff Christian. I think he's had an excellent job, done an excellent job, but not only physically, but what you saw right there, mentally. He's the quarterback of that offensive line.
Playing with a broken left hand as well. 2nd down and 7, and a flag is down.
He had a bunch of broken left hands down there, him and the quarterback.
Randall Cunningham.
Prior to the snap, false start, number 82, offense, 5-yard penalty.
And that was the tight end, Andrew Glover. The Vikings have had several false start penalties here in this first quarter.
To play center in this league, you really have to have good eyes, because in today's football, what happens is there are multiple fronts and there's all kinds of pressure packages. And if you can't see, you can't play. Now watch it. See, he's identifying everything for the offensive line, and you see his mouth flap around. He's giving all the calls inside.
2nd down and 12, and Cunningham completes the pass to Matthew Hatchett, and Hatchett appears to have a Viking first down. Hatchett inactive most of the season, Matt, which indicates the great depth that the Vikings have on their offensive unit, particularly at wide receiver.
Pretty good. In fact, he told me in the middle of the season, you write this down, Matthew Hatchett is going to be a good player in this league. And I said, well, when you find him, introduce him to me. He said, it's me. And obviously I was messing with him, but he has great confidence, and this staff has confidence in him.
13-yard gain on a good inside move after the catch. From the 25-yard line, Robert Smith gets a yard, maybe 2, and it was Lonnie Martz, the linebacker, and Blaine Bishop, the hard-hitting, strong safety, in on the play.
Well, I like him. I like Blaine Bishop.
You always have.
Yes, I have, and it's the way he plays, and he plays with a little bit of attitude, and he's not a big guy, but if you if you straightened out those bowed legs, he might be another 3 inches taller. But he plays 5'9" is deceiving, because he plays like he's 6'2".
And one of the Oilers heading for the Pro Bowl. 2nd down and 8 from Minnesota. Cunningham again with the screen pass, and it was Charles Evans with the catch. I tell you, these backs have made a couple of good catches on screen passes out of the backfield. Henry Ford downfield making the tackle, but a minimal gain of 2.
Ford made the tackle. Blaine Bishop made the play. And it's out in the open field where you have a big body getting on you, and you're going to have to make a decision. They're going to run the screen to the outside. Now watch David Dixon, 71. Here comes Blaine Bishop. Ducks underneath them and makes the play.
And that is the end of the first quarter. With the score, the Tennessee Oilers 3 and the Minnesota Vikings 2. This Fox NFL special will continue after these messages and a word from your local Fox station. Second quarter with the Oilers leading 3-2, and one of the many records at stake, one falling already. Total yards for the Vikings. They've set a new team mark. 3rd down and 6.
Watch Randy Moss up top. There's no safety help up there.
On the Oiler 21-yard line. Cunningham gets hit as he lets go, and that was Terry Killens, who has figured in 2 plays thus far against Cunningham, and that will force Gary Anderson to come on to attempt a field goal.
Well, what Jeff Fisher's defense decided to do is bring some pressure and make him make a decision quick. And they made Todd Stussy have to make a decision. They brought Killens from the outside and the safety from the in. Stussy stepped to the middle. He had to block one or the other. That freed Killens.
No kicker has ever had a perfect season. Gary Anderson with a 39-yard attempt, and this kick is good. So that is the 38th straight field goal dating back to last year when Anderson was with the 49ers and the Vikings regained the lead 5-3.
Engineered to be great cars. By Killian's Irish Red, which reminds you one look says a lot. By Gateway, get more out of the box with a Gateway. And by Tylenol, take comfort in our strength.
The Minnesota Vikings now need only 7 points to break the record held by the Washington Redskins back in 1983, most points in a season. They lead 5-3 as Mitch Berger kicking off, and Mike Archie coming up to meet the kickoff. Mike Archie, who returned the opening kickoff in fine fashion, takes this out to the 43-yard line.
I want you to watch what happens. See, the safety walks in here, they go man outside, and then you have Palmer right down here. What you have to be able to see is the whole field, and Randall Cunningham is going to be looking to the whole field. But watch over here to this side. Matthew Hatchett sees the middle. Cunningham doesn't. There was no one in the middle of the field. They had spread everybody out, and Hatchett had 6 points written all over him. But because of Killins coming from the side, Cunningham felt the pressure, thought he had to get rid of it hot to Palmer, and you get a missed opportunity.
Scott Sanderson has replaced John Runyon, who was ejected on the last series for unsportsmanlike conduct. From the 44-yard line, the handoff is to George. Eddie George stalls and then finds outside running room and picks up a Tennessee first down.
Nice job of patience and running with your eyes by Eddie George inside, but you can do that when everybody inside of you is on somebody. So you have to credit the interior of that offensive line. And then Eddie George, just because of that vision, bounces it out to the left side. Now I'm going to be curious as to how fast they find Scott Sanderson, who's in for Runyon on that side, because didn't take long. Didn't take long at all. Guess who's on right on top of him?
Number 93, John Randall.
That's smart. That's good football. That's the end.
Delay of the game. 5-yard penalty will be marked off. You saw the play clock,
you know, Dick,
down to 0.
A couple years ago, the Dallas Cowboys
Play game. Offense. 5-yard penalty. First down.
were playing the Arizona Cardinals, and in the pregame, Deion Sanders' back got all spasmed up and couldn't play. And it took the Cardinals, and John Madden called me and said it was the darndest thing he'd ever seen. It took the Cardinals about 2 quarters before they figured out that they could throw to that side. They just went ahead.
We saw that with Craig Newsome on a Monday night game this year with Green Bay. 1st and 15 back at midfield, and pass is caught by Frank Wycheck, his first reception of the game. So Wycheck, who is the leading receiver and caught 10, a career high last week against Green Bay, gets a 9-yard pickup.
You know, I'm a great believer in finding the weakness of any team and attacking it and making the other team adjust. And so if Runyon goes out for whatever reason and you have to bring in a backup, I'm in favor of rushing over that guy and making him prove that he can play. Sanderson playing right tackle.
2nd and 6, McNair, and a fine catch made by Yancey Thigpen, and it looks like a first down for the Tennessee Oilers. The Oilers looking to wrap up 2nd place in the AFC Central Division, and they've been on an 8-8 rut, but Jeff Fisher has done a terrific job considering how this team has been in flux, moving from Houston, playing in Memphis, and now they're going to go to a new stadium next year. He's held the team together.
Now what that team has to do is focus on what they're doing each week. Now they've been a head scratcher at times, but I think it's doubly tough to be able to focus on the team and what the heck is going on around you.
Oilers moving. They're on the Viking 34. McNair has time, and pass caught by Wycheck, and Wycheck gets about 9 yards on the play, and very delicate play selection by Les Steckel upstairs working for the Oilers.
You think the Oilers don't know where John Randall is? There goes Harris, there goes Eddie George, and there goes Hopkins. They have 3 guys to make sure they know where one guy is. Well, if you have 3 on one, that means, and the quarterback, now you have all those others blocking not as many. You got some problems. That's what John Randall will do for you.
2nd down and 2 at the 26. Randall lining up as a right defensive end. Here's Eddie George. He'll get the first down inside the 20. And he slid, lost his footing, but gets inside the 5. Jimmy Hitchcock is there for the play, and the Oilers with an 18-yard pickup, threatening to take the lead again.
Nice job inside. Watch Stepnoski, Bruce Matthews, Lehman, right there. Excellent job. Look, everybody's on somebody. Stepnoski just keeps on staying with Williams. And then what we talked about earlier, once Eddie George gets to that next level, he's a handful.
And looking for a 100-yard game, he's had 6 of them so far, already at 51 yards. 1st and goal at the 8 for Tennessee. And here's Eddie George, and he'll go nowhere. Dwayne Rudd right there. And, of course, he makes the big play, but you got to be wary of the Tennessee Oilers when they're in the red zone, because they are the only AFC team that has scored in every possession in the red zone this year. 46 in a row, and that's the longest current streak in the NFL.
They like that fact that they've been able to score, but they don't like the fact that they haven't been able to get as many touchdowns. They figure that they get a field goal, that's not a positive trip into the red zone for them.
Loss of 2, so it's 2nd and goal at the 10. On the rollout, McNair looking for a receiver, and he fires it away. McNair smartly throw it away with pressure coming from Dwayne Rudd. Matt mentioned the great speed that the Vikings have suited for the artificial surface, and Rudd leads the way.
I mentioned earlier about having, a 90s quarterback has to be able to run. And what he does is he has to run to give his receivers time to get open. Hitchcock is all over his coverage. Fuller all over his coverage. He tried to look for Jackie Harris in the beginning. That was covered. And when those things happen, even the most fleet of foot and the best arm isn't going to help you.
8th play of the drive. That's Derek Mason, number 85, coming in motion. 3rd and goal. And a penalty marker down. And we may have a false start this time against the Oilers.
Prior to the snap, false start, number 73.
And it was Scott Sanderson. Remember, he came in for John Runyon, who was ejected, the right tackle. Jeff Fisher, Dennis Green, both with West Coast backgrounds. Fisher played college football at USC, coached at the 49ers as an assistant, and so did Dennis Green. 3rd and goal at the 15-yard line. And here is McNair with a fade, and the pass knocked away. Nice. Kevin Dyson covered well by Ramos McDonald, a rookie cornerback who stayed with Dyson step for step.
Played very well. In fact, with the development of Ramos McDonald, it's given the Vikings even more flexibility, because he's been able to handle the outside and been able to make plays like this. Stay with him, good concentration. It's been able to, look at this.
And they had snow here this week.
Let it snow.
Right into a snowman. Ramos McDonald from New Mexico, rookie. So Al Del Greco, who's already connected on a 36-yard field goal. This from 33 yards out, and Del Greco's kick is good. So this has been a seesaw affair with safety and field goals. An unusual score of 6-5. The Oilers in front by a point.
Bottom of the 2nd. We'll be back.
Stadium, Dick Stockton along with Matt Millen. Hope you're having a great holiday season wherever you are and enjoying this Saturday afternoon matchup on Fox. The Tennessee Oilers now leading the Minnesota Vikings 6-5. 2 field goals by Al Del Greco and Craig Hentrich with the kickoff. And it was Palmer at the goal line returning now for the Vikings. David Palmer, whose school, Alabama, playing in the Music Bowl coming up in 2 days here. Well, his dream was to play football at Notre Dame, and no one believed in him, but he never stopped believing in himself. It's based on a true story. Rudy, a film of hope and triumph tonight at 8, 7 Central on Fox. Crimson Tide at our hotel. They're going to be playing Virginia Tech on Tuesday.
I have a tough time with football movies. They try to capture, but they just never quite get there.
Remember, win one for the Gipper. Model rate. First down from the 32, Robert Smith.
I remember win one for George Zip. An airplane.
3-yard pickup. There's Randy Moss, who has yet to catch a pass today, and neither has Chris Carter. And this has been a game of ball control really for both teams, although Tennessee having more than a 2-to-1 edge in time of possession and nearly doubling the plays as Carter comes out wide to the right on 2nd and 7. Cunningham quickly gets out to Carter, his first catch of the game, and it's sufficient for a Viking first down to the 44-yard line. That was a 9-yard pickup for Chris Carter, who caught his 100th scoring catch against Jacksonville, only the 3rd receiver in NFL history to catch 100 or more. Jerry Rice way ahead, and right now Chris Carter tied with Steve Largent for 2nd. First down, Vikings on the 44. And again, Robert Smith. And the hold closes up in a hurry, maybe a yard. James Roberson.
You know, the Houston Oilers, of course, they'll always be Houston to me. I don't care when they call them the Titans or the Ten. Well,
they were since 1960.
And and I've played against them, and so they're staying that. I don't care what anybody says. But they're giving you multiple looks defensively. And they're giving you a lot of 8-man fronts up front, which is what Cunningham will see and have to check into throwing.
2nd down and 9 with 3 wide receivers in the game. Randall Cunningham getting some time, and the pass off the hands of Andrew Glover, the tight end. Well, we talked about the old Oilers, Raiders-Oiler matchups. Houston owner Bud Adams, no stranger to high-scoring teams. His 61 Oilers set the standard for scoring in a 14-game season. The offense led by Billy Cannon. Remember him from LSU? 513 points. The quarterback was George Blanda. The Houston Oilers, one of the great teams, and of course Bud Adams was one of the founders, along with Lamar Hunt, of the American Football League. Eddie George waiting for his chance again. 3rd down and 9 for the Vikings on their 45.
No help on Moss again.
And on the rollout, here comes Cunningham going deep. And Randy Moss,
that's an incomplete
out
pass.
of bounds. He did not have both feet in bounds.
See this up here, Nick?
Danon Sidney defending. Right?
Now forget the out of bounds.
The hat.
There's no hat. That means he went out of bounds, and he can't be the first guy to touch it back in. That's a nice job of coverage outside, of forcing him wide. Remember I said he's got no help. There's nobody here. So he's going to run with them right there, right here. The hat flops to the ground off the official, and that makes him ineligible. He's the first guy to come back in to make that catch.
Though it was incomplete, Matt, it's a familiar sight with Cunningham going to his left and flailing the ball, and Randy Moss trying to come down with it, and a shank. Mitch Berger with the kick, and it goes out of bounds. It'll work out well for the Vikings anyway.
It's a good shank.
There are good shanks and there are bad shanks. Penalty marker down, however, upfield. And the flag will be against the Tennessee Oilers.
Well, let's see when it is, because if it's before the kick and it's a personal foul, that changes everything.
Now they've changed it. It'll be against the Vikings. Passively looking on is Dennis Green. Tom White making sure before he lets us know.
Well, I'd make him kick it again if that's the case. They had him pinned down inside the 20 at about the 16.
Personal foul. Head slap. Number 55. Kicking team. 15-yard penalty from the previous spot. We'll replay fourth down.
Bobby Houston, and you're absolutely right, Matt. They're going to kick it again because the Oilers would have had the ball at the 16-yard line, and this penalty being marked off, and Berger will kick from inside his 15, so the Oilers will get, should get unquestionably better field position.
Head slap used to be the most devastating pass rushing technique in the National Football League. They got rid of it. Now you throw it, they'll throw the flag.
Derek Mason is back deep. Good kick by Mitch Berger. Mason trying to find outside running room, goes inside and then driven back by Harold Morrow, and it was a big difference of about 15 yards. Our crew with us all year, wishing you all a happy holiday as we take a timeout. Vanderbilt Stadium here in Nashville, Tennessee, and the Tennessee Oilers become the Tennessee Titans in a new stadium next year, trying to finish with a victory, and a 9-7 record would be their best in 5 years. Tough loss at home this year to the Chicago Bears on October 25th was the most disappointing defeat for Jeff Fisher, but Steve McNair brings them out to the 35, first down. Oilers in front 6-5 with 8 minutes to go in the first half. Handoff is no fake, and the pass downfield, and it is caught by Kevin Dyson. Good fake by McNair, and Dyson with the catch on the bullet throw to the 42-yard line in a gain of 23 yards for Tennessee.
I think the whole thing starts with protection up front. You're going to have to get John Randall blocked, and the guy who's blocking him is Bruce Matthews. 16 years, still playing as well as I've seen him play, in fact, better. And then Dyson, the rookie, just getting in front of the safety and knowing because there's time, the ball's going to be right where it's supposed to be.
Tennessee with a big edge, 60 yards more than the Vikings in total yards here in the second quarter. Big rush put on by McNair. Jason Fisk, number 72, and McNair just had to get rid of it. Let's take a look at the AFC playoff picture. Denver, of course, they've lost 2 in a row, but the Broncos and the Jets get first-round byes in the playoffs. Jacksonville is in there, and now Miami, New England, and Buffalo, Matt, jockeying for position and a home field for a wild card in tomorrow's game.
Keep your eyes on this team right here, the Jets, Jets. They are playing like they have that look. Parcells has them right where he wants them.
They won every division game on the road this year. Second down and 10. McNair, open receiver downfield. Jackie Harris, and a first down. And McNair has had plenty of time today, and a 26-yard pass play. First Dyson and now Harris, and the Oilers threaten.
Well, it's all set up by what you see right there. And that's the play action. Once you get those linebackers to bite up, that opens that intermediate area, and then he can have some time to look down the field. Harris gets on top of the backers and in front of the safety. Comes down with the big play.
We have yet to have a touchdown scored in this game.
Now they're back inside their red zone, which has been, for the most part, a three-point zone for them.
From the 16-yard line, and the handoff to Eddie George going outside, and not much there. In fact, a loss of 1 on the play. So McNair, the youngster with the great future, and Randall Cunningham, who could very well be a top candidate for MVP honors in what they've done so far in this game.
You know, what they've been is, to me, the most important part is down here. No interceptions. They haven't been throwing the ball. You know, earlier they've been talking about Cunningham saying, oh, he's just throwing the ball up. But that's not true. They've been calculated, and he sees generally when there's no safety help over there, he'll take a chance by throwing it down the field.
Second down and 11 for McNair. Again, he's got time, and this pass thrown away in a mix-up on the pass pattern on the route. Yancey Thigpen was the intended receiver, but he was about 10 yards off the mark.
You know, McNair is playing with a really bad toe, and they concocted something on his foot. Can't really see it. It's on this side over here. to protect it. His toe swelled up so much that they had to rip the top of it off, and then they put a protective piece over it. Very painful, and the coaches say he's one of the toughest suckers that they've been around.
3rd down and 11 from the 17. McNair getting great protection, dumps it off to Wycheck. Wycheck to the 5 and gets knocked out of bounds on a big hit by 2 Vikings at about the 2 or 1 yard line.
You know, Dick, you have to play in this league, and you have to be able to differentiate between hurt and not hurt. And McNair, playing with that bad toe, just goes back there and bounces around on the feet that are killing him. And because of those feet, he buys the time, and he's able to find Wycheck out in the flat, who gets him the 1st down.
And it was Orlando Thomas and Derek Alexander who knocked him out of bounds, but not before the Oilers get a 1st down. 1st and goal. They've had 2 field goals in the red zone today. Here is Eddie George, and he'll go for the touchdown. And the Oilers add to their lead.
Nice patience by Eddie George. And a nice job again by the interior of that offensive line, because he starts to his right, and then he positions himself, and once he sees the flow, he comes back to the left side. He'll start up here. Now watch, everybody on a body, and then there's the patience, and that little point of patience that you have to make a decision, wait, let it happen.
Al Del Greco with the extra point. He has been perfect with the conversions to this year, and the Oilers now lead it by a score of 13-5. Now to 13-5 with 5:06 left in the 1st half. Eddie George with the 2-yard run, his 5th touchdown rushing. McNair was 3 of 5 on the drive that consumed 65 yards.
Eddie George, who playing extremely well, told me he missed 2 things about Philadelphia's hometown: tasty cakes and soft pretzels. Can't blame him for either.
With mustard on them. Hendrick kicking off, Palmer on the return from the end zone. David Palmer. And he is tackled at the 27 by Dennis Stalling.
John Riggins, the Hall of Fame quarterback, talks about this area right here, and he calls it your point of patience. And this is what the point of patience is about. He's going to run to the point. Now, right here, he has to make a decision. See, everybody's on a body. The linebackers are in. He sees this come up, and he has to run back to the left side nice and easily, but it's all with your eyes, and it's all with patience. Something I've never had.
Oh, come on. Somewhere along the line. 1st down from the 27. Cunningham has time. Randy Moss downfield, and it's broken up at the last minute. That was a great throw, a long throw, and Moss had his defender beaten, but Denard Walker, number 25, caught up with him and knocked the ball away.
That was the key. He caught back up with it. Lots of time to throw. Walker holding the outside. Now here he hits the afterburners. Now actually, see, the ball's underthrown, because if he throws it out here, he's still running. But it hung a little bit in the air, and that allowed Walker to be able to play and fight, and that's an excellent job, that inside hand of stripping it away.
But Randy Moss has caught a lot of those underthrown balls this year.
Yeah, but that time the ball is not quite where it should have been, and Walker was able to make that play.
On 2nd down and 10, Robert Smith gets a small opening, picks up about 3 yards. Darrell Lewis, the cornerback, in on the play.
Darrell Lewis.
Well, Randy Moss has been thrown to on 3 occasions, yet to make a reception in this game.
That won't take much longer to change. All it takes is 1 to say thrown at 3, catches 1, yards 70, touchdowns 1. When you play Randy Moss, in my opinion, you have to take a couple of shots at him. Now you just see him, he's right down here in the bottom of the field. And there's no safety help back here. Here's his help if he can get back. Now here he comes.
Chris Carter is in the slot. On 3rd down, Randall Cunningham, flag is down, trying to get it to Chris Carter, and a penalty marker down, and there you see Denard Walker, Darrell Lewis complaining to the officials, and it's going to be defensive holding called against the Oilers and a 1st down coming up.
There's Carter in the slot right there, and there's a little bit of a hold. Maybe a lot of bit of a hold. And then Walker down on the other side. Chris Carter, to me, he's their passing game. He's the guy who moves the chains. And then the home run hitter, obviously, is Moss. But with Randy Moss, when he blocks, that's when you got to get your shots on him. Kind of like what it used to be with Barry Sanders. You don't really get a good hit on him when he's running, but when he blocks is when you can beat him up a little bit.
To the right on first down following the penalty, and there's Randall Cunningham, and a great catch made by Matthew Hatchett, and a first down. Matthew Hatchett with a 20-yard pickup, and remember the Vikings short-handed with Chris Walsh unable to play today, and Jake Reed still coming back from injury.
Well, they're not losing much with Matthew Hatchett. A sure-handed guy, runs pretty good routes, not the fastest of the bunch, but you have your speed with Moss. Is when that ball, if you go have a guy who will go get it, you can't top that. Matthew Hatchett will do that.
Terrific depth on the Vikings as Robert Smith tries to carry it outside and will lose a couple of yards on the play. Well, on Sunday, January 10th, Eddie Murphy returns to TV with a wild new look and a bold new attitude. From the mind and mouth of Eddie Murphy comes the PJs. The series preview is Sunday, January 10th, right here on Fox. Remember, the Minnesota Vikings need only 7 points to establish themselves as the all-time leading scoring team in the NFL, and they need 7. Second down and 12 at the 45.
They beat the Washington Redskins of '83.
Pressure coming in on Cunningham, and he gets it off to Robert Smith. Beautiful. Smith with a great bit of running, gets the first down. Fine running, and Cunningham knew when the defenders were closing in on him, and a gain of 13.
Dick, screens are about timing, and it's a feel, and it's a timing thing for your offensive line, but also your quarterback, because you want to hold it just long enough to be able to draw them to you, and your linemen have to hold their blocks just long enough until they can slip them out. The whole thing is timing, and on that particular play, the timing was perfect.
This may be the last play before the 2-minute warning if they get it off.
They're not going to.
And a 2-minute warning with the Tennessee Oilers trying to send the Vikings to only their second defeat of the year, leading 13-5. First half analysts will take a look at the NFL coaching carousel. All coming up on the Visa halftime report. That is our lineup. First and 10 at the 32 following the 2-minute warning. And this pass overthrown, intended for Chris Carter. Well, the plan, according to Dennis Green, was to go with Randall Cunningham in the first half, and Brad Johnson, who was the starter when the season began but has been sidelined twice with a broken fibula and a broken thumb, came back against Jacksonville in the second half last week. According to Coach Green's slated to play the second half. We'll see. But Cunningham just took the job away despite the injuries with his amazing play. Second down and 10 at the 32. Leroy Hoard is the running back. Cunningham will throw, and incomplete, nowhere near Randy Moss.
One player that I saw this year that played Randy Moss, I mean, really schooled him, was Darrell Green of the Washington Redskins. Darrell Green just played a great football game against Moss and really frustrated Randy Moss. Most teams don't have a Darrell Green. In fact, this league doesn't only have one Darrell Green. But the way he played him was to challenge him with his speed.
And of course, Jeff Fisher said we've got to be physical with Randy Moss, although we haven't seen much of that so far today.
Down here again, and again, nobody over the top for the safety help.
Third down and 10. Multiple wide receivers. Cunningham gets away from one rush, and he finds Matthew Hatchett, who makes the catch inside the 15 for a Viking first down with 1:46 on the clock.
I believe Matthew Hatchett's right what he told me. He can play.
It was Matthew all the time.
Yes, it was Matthew Hatchett the whole time. Killins comes. Cunningham is able to get out of there, and then with the vision downfield sees Hatchett, who did a good job of coming back into the vision of Cunningham.
Matthew Hatchett, 3 catches with 54 yards. has picked up the slack without Carter and Moss doing big things thus far. From the 13-yard line, the Vikings are looking for the record, and this one off the hands of Carter, but a flag is thrown. Darrell Lewis defending Chris Carter.
Darrell Lewis broke and got his right hand on Chris Carter. He broke on that ball because he smelled the quick, and that's what it was. It was going to be that quick out. Watch me. Outside technique, which I like. And then watch the right hand right there. That's what they're going to call it.
That'll be a first down at the spot. First and goal.
See, that hand is wrapped around the back, and that's what the official will see. But the technique they're playing is I like. It's outside. No matter how wide those receivers are going, the corners are hanging more to the outside, which puts pressure on your safety and makes you have to run.
Vikings got to go back to week 3 when they did not get a touchdown in the first half. Leroy Horde carries it to the 5-yard line as the clock runs. Nearly a minute and a half to go in the first half. The Vikings still have all 3 of their timeouts.
Dick, that outside technique that I was just talking about is the same way that Darrell Green played against Randy Moss. And in essence, what you do is you're saying, run by me. Go ahead and run by me. I'm not going to give you. So, and the other thing it does for you as a defender is it lets you look through the receiver to the ball.
Green did a good job, but the Vikings routed the Redskins that day. Second and goal at the 5.
There's Moss downstairs again.
Here is Leroy Horde, and he's hit immediately by Gary Walker, the defensive tackle, and so that will bring up 3rd and goal and under a minute remaining. As the Vikings, a little bit of first half drama, needing a touchdown and the extra point to become the highest scoring team ever in the NFL.
Gary Walker did a perfect job of getting pressure up the field, penetration.
So it'll be 3rd and goal, the ball at the 4.
Nobody in the backfield. That means you have 5 receivers out.
Cunningham's pass incomplete over the head of Randy Moss, and that'll bring up 4th down, and he was wide open on the slant.
He had him to the inside. The ball wasn't there when it had to be. Working on Walker. Walker bit to the outside on the shake. A little lower ball, and it had 6 written all over it.
So Gary Anderson, who kicked a 39-yard field goal, his 38th straight, now will attempt a 23-yard field goal. He has been perfect all season long, and Anderson's kick is good, and he remains perfect. And the field goal cuts the lead now to 13-8, and it's been a kind of a frustrating day so far for both Randall Cunningham and especially for the rookie sensation Randy Moss.
And don't stop there. Also for Chris Carter, not a lot of balls thrown to either of those two guys. Matthew Hatchett has been the bulk of the passing offense here in the first half.
Yeah, this Viking offense, which has been a well-oiled machine all season long, has been out of sync in this first half. How much the Oilers have to do with it is another issue. "14 seconds remain in this first half. Well, Matthew Hatchett inactive most of the year. Coming in today as the 3rd wide receiver, and he has been the most prolific. As you mentioned, Carter only 1 catch, and Randy Moss so far shut out.
Yeah, you don't even see his name up there. There's only been 7 receptions in the first half, which is not, I would expect that to change greatly in the second half.
Well, the Vikings now need only 4 points to break the all-time scoring record. They're pecking away, is it, so to speak, with a couple of field goals and a safety. Mitch Berger will kick off, and Mike Archie and Rodney Thomas back to receive for Tennessee. And a low squiver picked up by one of the up players, Frank Wycheck. Well, tomorrow, the final weekend of the regular season. And the Green Bay Packers go against the Chicago Bears at Soldier Field in Chicago. Brett Favre leading Green Bay. They're headed for the playoffs, and the rest of the action, regional coverage. It all begins with the pregame show, which will feature the 1998 Terry Awards at noon Eastern, 9 a.m. Pacific, here on Fox.
49ers will play St. Louis
Rams
at home. And Chicago and Green Bay will be playing in Chicago.
That's our featured game tomorrow.
If Green Bay wins and San Francisco loses, they will play in a wild card game in Green Bay.
Pass to Rodney Thomas is incomplete. But right now, the San Francisco 49ers at this point would have the home field for that wild card game, and a victory over St. Louis would give them that. And still a battle going on for the third and final wild card spot in the NFC. The Arizona Cardinals have destiny in their own hands. If they beat San Diego, they're in. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers and the New York Giants still have an outside shot. 3 seconds remaining. 4 actually on the clock. McNair going up, and he throws a Texas Leaguer high pop-up that is caught. Time has run out in any event. Derek Mason wound up with the ball, but time has run out, and the Oilers will not be able to manufacture anything out of that Hail Mary. And that is the end of the first half with the score. The Oilers 13 and the Vikings 8, and this Fox NFL special will continue as JB, Terry, Howie, and Chris will bring you the Visa halftime report after these messages and a word from your local Fox station. The Oilers leading the Vikings 13-8 for only the second time this year. The Vikings did not score a touchdown in the first half. And the kickoff by Hendrick, bounding at the 5, fielded by David Palmer. David Palmer to the 20-yard line and is stopped in his tracks at the 22 by Terry Killen.
Tackled by number 50, Terry Killens.
Watch Randall Cunningham in the first half. Very uncharacteristically, he's not thrown the ball down the field very much at all. See this, only 2 of 7 down here. There have been 5 of 10 underneath. Generally, he gets his big yardage here, over 20 yards. He's not afraid to push it down the field, which has made this offense so exciting.
We expect to see Brad Johnson here in the third quarter, but Randall Cunningham comes out as the quarterback for the Vikings. Starting from the 24, Robert Smith, and about 3 yards for Robert Smith. So offensively, Vikings have been doing it all season long, but these numbers show that the Tennessee Oilers have led the way.
Right here, 4.6 a play. That's really down for them. I mean, they're usually up around 8 yards per play because of what we talked about, of pushing the ball down the field. Randy Moss doesn't even have a catch yet in today's game.
2nd and 7. Vikings looking for their 15th win of the year. Only 2 teams have ever accomplished that. Here is Randy Moss with his first catch of the game. Short of the first down, Denard Walker all over him, and it's good for 4.
This is basically the frustrations of the first half of Randy Moss. Getting open at times, the ball not being able to get there. And then when he has been open, the ball's been a little bit too high. Nice play by Walker to be able to stay with this and strip the ball. The previous play was Randy Moss's first catch of the day.
Matthew Hatchett, who's in the game now with 4 wide receivers, leads with 3. David Palmer also in the lineup. And Palmer moved. And Everett Lindsay also had jumped. Let's see what Tom White calls it.
False start, number 61.
And it's Everett Lindsay. Remember, Lindsay is starting in place of Corey Stringer. Both Stringer and Randall Cunningham received healthy contract extensions this week.
Vikings have a lot of dough tied up at the quarterback position.
Yes, they do.
3rd down, 7 on the 27-yard
There's Corey Stringer. Has a groin strain.
3rd down and 8 for Minnesota. Early here in the third quarter. Cunningham goes underneath to David Palmer. Tries to spin away. Let's see where they spot the ball. He may have enough for the first down. Blaine Bishop was defending on the elusive Palmer.
Well, he is elusive. That's tough coverage. Now, they had him in a zone that time. He sat down right in the gray area. Always, the weakness of every zone is where the players overlap in their zones, because there's always a little bit of a gray area. That time, Palmer read it, sat down right in the middle, and was able to sneak in for the first down.
He had a shallow route there when he ran out of the backfield, but it was good enough for the first down.
There was enough depth to get the first.
Yes, it was. On the 34-yard line. Hand off to Robert Smith. And Smith gets about 2 yards on the play. Lonnie Martz making the play from his linebacker position. And Minnesota Vikings, when they have Robert Smith, have a different dimension than when Leroy Horde is in the game. They can pound it away with Horde, but Smith gives him that extra speed element that they have with Palmer and all those great receivers.
Well, Leroy Horde is Chris Carter, and Robert Smith is Randy Moss.
2nd down and 8 for the Vikings. Here comes the blitz. Cunningham finds Hunter Goodwin, the tight end, but he is found by Blaine Bishop. A minimal gain, and that will bring up 3rd down and about 10. The Oilers playing well on both sides of the ball, thus their 13-8 lead.
What Blaine Bishop is powerful. But watch this. Now, he's going to give away a lot of size in terms of height, but not in terms of power. And he's smart. You attack him at waist height and then just drive right through him. Watch, he drives the arms, heads up. It's a picture right there.
Charles Evans coming in. There you see Bishop. Evans is in along with Palmer. 3rd down and 9. It's Randy Moss coming in motion. And Cunningham finds Chris Carter, and the first down to midfield. Carter with his 2nd catch of the game. Good for 16 yards with Steve Jackson, the free safety.
I mentioned earlier about Chris Carter being the guy who's the chain mover, and he'll get you the tough yards. But he's also faster than people think. It's not like he's a plotter out there. In fact, he believes he's gotten faster the last couple of years than he had been earlier in his career.
Really a regimental off-season workout program. First down at the 50-yard line. Play fake. Cunningham dumps it off to Charles Evans, and Evans with some good second effort picks up about 5 yards on the play, and a little ad-libbing done by Randall Cunningham. They get 5 yards out of it.
Well, he wanted to hit Moss down the field, but there was coverage, and then because of the blitz, he got just enough of a hand on him that he had to dump it off underneath to Evans. There's the blitz, and right there, watch. Eddie Robinson just kind of hawks him enough. Moss had the coverage down below. He just dumped it to Evans.
2nd down and 5, and here is Robert Smith slicing off left tackle. Very nearly got past Steve Jackson. If he had, he would have had about 20 more yards. It is a first down, but a player is down. Back at midfield, a Viking is shaken up, and it appears to be Everett Lindsay, the versatile tackle who is in there today, and he is in pain. And we're going to take a timeout. 9:22 remaining in the 3rd quarter, and the Oilers up by 5.
Oldsmobile and your local Oldsmobile dealers.
Minnesota Vikings with a first down on the 37. Matt Burke has replaced the injured Everett Lindsay, who needed help coming off the field. Pump fake and a throw. Here's Randy Moss in the corner of the end zone. Flag is down. Moss covered step for step by Denard Walker, but a penalty marker down. And this appears to be going against the Oilers.
Randy Moss
Can't keep him down all game.
Yeah, Randy Moss has a ton of long yardage penalties. I mean, he might have 10 of them.
Pass interference.
Watching him, he's
Number 25. Defense.
the double move didn't matter.
One and goal.
Oh, that's bad call. That's a bad call. Looking back to the ball, they're both They're both going to play the ball. Where he said, where the official threw the flag for that at the 5-yard line, right there. Heck, that's nothing.
It'll be 1st and goal to 5. Well, they always say you got an unfair advantage, and I don't think Denard Walker got one on that play. So it's 1st and goal at the 5. Leroy Horde in at running back, and a fade pass to Moss. He's got a touchdown. A flag is down as well, but Moss will get the touchdown.
And that's going to be another flag on Moss for spiking in his face.
But the initial flag was on Denard Walker, but Moss,
that was a double move.
Jumped over him anyway and got the touchdown reception. And you can see Dennis Green signaling go for 2. And the Vikings are now the highest scoring team in the history of the National Football League. They break the Washington Redskins mark set in '83.
Pass interference. Number 25. Defense. That penalty is declined.
And that is the 17th touchdown catch of the year for Randy Moss. And 544 points for the Vikings is a new NFL record. So the records continue to fall for the Minnesota Vikings, who will go for 2. And the Vikings lead 14-13. Now, he did not talk about the other penalty marker down.
No, he was talking about it, but we...
Here comes the 2-point conversion. Another fade to Moss. He made it look easy.
Great catch.
Boy, Walker's got to be frustrated trying to cover Randy Moss, who gets the TD and the 2-pointer.
There's the pump, it was a fake, and then he just throws it up. And watch him go get the ball. It's a rebound. And it's 6. And now the 2-point conversion just makes it look too easy.
Carbon copies the TD and the conversion. It's continue to fall for the Vikings. They now lead 16-13. Randy Moss ties a team season record with his 17th scoring catch of the year. And he, as Matt pointed out, called for taunting with spiking the ball in front of Walker. As a result, Mitch Berger will kick off from the 15-yard line. Vikings in front 16-13, and Mike Archie on the return for the Oilers. And Archie is tackled at the 42.
Now, this is the taunting call after the touchdown. There's the catch over Walker. There was the flag thrown, and Randy Moss is he's fine with it. And then Walker gets up and starts screaming about something, and he spikes it right in front of him in the face. Now, the other official on the end line saw that and threw the flag, and that, as a result, they made him kick off from the 15-yard line.
And there is Denard Walker still pleading his case.
He's frustrated, yeah. and I think justifiably so, because I don't believe that our officials in our league are doing a real good job with pass interference. And I don't mean this true. I mean overall.
Oilers trailing by 3. Just under 9 minutes to go in the 3rd quarter. First down for Tennessee on their 41. Deep drop for Steve McNair, and his pass underneath to Yancey Thigpen. And Thigpen picks up about 9 yards with Corey Fuller making the tackle.
Yeah, the key play in that whole drive was this supposed interference call. Now, to me, that's nothing. I mean, you have to let a guy play. There was no push, there was no bump, there was nothing. All he got out of it was an argument. Actually, he took his helmet off. He's lucky he didn't get a penalty on that one.
Well, Denard Walker has done a good job with Randy Moss for most of this game. 2nd down and 1. Here's Eddie George, and falling forward, may have enough for the first down.
Been kind of a quiet day for John Randall. Now, I expected to see more movement out of John Randall up and down the line, especially since they lost Runyon, their offensive tackle. I expect to see him over on the left side over Sanderson, but that only happened one time, and we pointed that one out to you. Other than that, he's been hanging out to the right offensive tackle. The Oilers thought that he would be, and he's right down here. The Oilers thought that they'd see a lot over Lehman, their right offensive guard. We haven't seen that at all.
Oiler offensive line has done a terrific job protecting McNair. First down pass off the mark intended for Kevin Dyson.
You'll notice about John Randall is he is really active, and it'll happen all game long. And a lot of the times, even though he may not be making the play, he's drawing the slide of the line or the protection. And that opens things up for other people.
You always have to be aware of where John Randall lines up. Only 1 tackle today. Big game against Jacksonville last week. 2nd and 10 on the 49-yard line. And the pass up the middle, and Wycheck drops it. Frank Wycheck had it and then dropped it. Normally a sure-handed receiver as an H-back for the Oilers, but he couldn't hold on, and that'll be 3rd down coming up.
Nice read by the quarterback. McNair saw him running right by it, now all by himself down. That's an excellent job of defense by Dwayne Rudd. Really, that was the reason that he dropped that ball, because Rudd undercut it, tried to swat it, missed it, and it messed with the concentration of Wycheck. But no excuse for Wycheck. He should make that catch.
3rd down and 2. Derek Mason and Yancey Thigpen to the top of your picture. Penalty flag down. Kind of a quiet crowd here in the 3rd quarter since the Vikings took the lead with their first touchdown of the game. Delay of the game against the Oilers, so 5 yards will be marked off to the Tennessee 46.
You know, Dick, the 40-second and 25-second clocks, usually the 40-second clocks, they're not at the normal spot. Usually they're in the end zones. In this stadium, they're on the sides, and they're kind of, I guess you kind of have to get a little used to it. Usually they're down in here, right in the end zone. That one's off to the left side, and the other side, on the other end zone, it's kind of on the, you really have to make a concerted effort to look hard to your left to see it.
The Oilers know where it is. Of course, they play their games here, but Minnesota, got to be an adjustment for them. So on 3rd and 15, looking for a receiver is McNair. He's got one. First down, Derek Mason. That was a great scramble and a play by McNair to Mason, 17 yards. And that's the dimension that McNair gives this Tennessee offense.
Well, that was great patience by Mason and by McNair. McNair bought the time. He wanted to hit Mason initially, but there was coverage. And then right here, he stayed with it. Mason did a nice job of sliding to his right to find this hole. And McNair was able to find him with his vision and his patience and ability to find him.
Mason in his 2nd year from Michigan State. Going to be one of the big future receivers for this team, and the ball tipped away by Orlando Thomas.
Dick, that's a great job by Orlando Thomas. There was nobody out there. There was no one there. They had blown their coverage when they got to the line of scrimmage. McNair saw it and was just going to try to throw a quick right there right away. Orlando Thomas also saw the same thing. There's nobody here. See this? Nothing. He sees it. He wants to get there. Orlando Thomas sees it late. Now watch him drive the ball. Good job by Orlando Thomas.
Intended for Jackie Harris. Great anticipation and timing. Brings up 2nd and 10. Very nearly avoided another delay of the game. Screen pass to Eddie George in open field. But George can't get away from Jimmy Hitchcock out of bounds.
Yeah,
but a 9-yard gain nonetheless.
He threw him out of the way. Hey, get out of my way. I want to get a first down here.
And he does have the first down.
Hey, he took Hitchcock and just threw him to the side. This whole thing starts at the line of scrimmage with McNair. He reads it, knows the pressure, knows he has the hot. Now watch at the end. Here comes Hitchcock. Get out of my way. I got a first down to make. Just kind of throws him to the side. Watch that right arm. Some people use a straight arm. Some people just say, move. Just throw him.
Yeah, this offense unquestionably improved this season. Rodney Thomas in at running back. Joey Kennett wide receiver. And here is Thomas, who's playing with a sore hamstring and runs right into Jerry Ball after a gain of maybe a yard. 5 minutes, 45 seconds remain in the 3rd quarter. Oilers driving, trying to regain what has been a seesaw game between the Oilers out of the playoff hopes against the Vikings, trying to finish 15-1.
One player who amazes me on this Oiler offense has been Bruce Matthews. Now, Eddie George a little bit, he's hurting on that last one. Bruce Matthews, their left offensive guard, has played that position well for 16 years at a high level.
2nd and 8. Here comes the pressure on McNair. Not this time. He doesn't get away from Dwayne Rudd, and the 2nd sack of the game for the Vikings.
Coach Fazio, the defensive coordinator, rolling the dice there, knows he has to be able to get him out of field goal range. He's going to come with more pressure. This is all pressure. Jackie Harris is looking to the outside. He's looking the wrong way. Jackie Harris has to look back to the inside.
And a loss of 11 yards, and the ball set back to the 35-yard line, bringing up 3rd and 19.
Nothing more frustrating to a coach when you have everybody accounted for and somebody messes up the protection.
Eddie George still gasping for air on the bench, and an inside handoff to Rodney Thomas has running room, and Thomas to the 27-yard line, and Al Del Greco will come on to try a field goal as Robert Griffith prevented any further gain. So Del Greco comes on as the Oilers look to tie the game. It's been a seesaw game, an unusual one, starting out with a safety by the Vikings. Del Greco has hit 2 field goals. Gary Anderson has 2, and each team has managed a couple of touchdowns, with Minnesota getting a 2-point conversion. 45-yard attempt by Del Greco. And the 45-yard is good, and Del Greco, continuing to lead the NFL in field goals, ties the game at 16. It's the holiday season, and our crew happy to be bringing you today's game on Fox.
I'm the holder, rather. This is a phenomenal hold. Bad snap, gets it down, realizes it's not the right position, picks it up, repositions it, gets the laces away, and makes it for a 45-yard field goal.
And then kicks off into the end zone where David Palmer returns, lopes for a while, and then is stopped at the 20-yard line by Perry Phoenix, one of the rookie defensive backs for the Oilers.
By Sears, come see the many sides of Sears. And by Outpost.com, the place to buy computer stuff online.
Minnesota Vikings, who started the year with 7 straight wins, lost at Tampa Bay, and then run off 7 more, trying to finish at 15-1. Only the 49ers and Bears have won 15 games in a regular season. Eddie George out the last drive because of an injured hip. First down at the 21-yard line for the Vikings. Randall Cunningham still in the game, going deep for you-know-who, Randy Moss, and the ball tipped away. He had 2 defenders there, Steve Jackson, the free safety, and Denard Walker.
Well, Denard Walker is right now because Randy Moss got away with a push-off. If you're gonna call pass interference, you got to call both ways. Watch this down the end of the field. Walker's going to hang with him to the top side where he has to be. Now look to find the ball. Watch the push. Yeah, it wasn't as bad as I thought it was.
In the last drive, you remember Everett Lindsay, as you see the replay, went out with a sprained right knee, and Matt Burke, the rookie from Harvard, has taken his place. 2nd and 10 for Minnesota. Cunningham again under pressure. The screen to Robert Smith. Robert Smith down the sideline, first down and more. And that play has worked very effectively. Danon Sidney making the play after the 21-yard pickup by Smith on the screen.
Remember I talked about its timing. Part of it is because the Vikings are one of the teams that will take a 5- and 7-step drop and throw it down the field. It's not 3 steps and gone. Dick, you said first down and more. Main reason for the more was Randall McDaniel, that left offensive guard who had gotten out there, who gave him that extra bit to give him the first.
McDaniel going to the Pro Bowl for a 10th time. Leroy Horde, the changeup running back in the game, and out busts away. Great play by Horde, bouncing away from the pack and getting at least 9 yards close to the sticks before Blaine Bishop makes the stop. What depth does Minnesota offense have? We're looking at, well, Horde in recent weeks, Matthew Hatchett today. And so despite the injuries, Mo Williams out for the year, the Vikings always seem to have numbers on the offensive side of the ball.
Leroy Horde and Derek Holmes are the same guy to me. They both run really tough and physical.
Holmes of Green Bay with a big year. See them do some work on Robert Smith, 2nd and 1 for Randall Cunningham. His pass caught. Randy Moss, first down. So they're going to Randy Moss, who was shut out in the first half. That is a 12-yard pickup. And Moss in the game, 3 catches for 21 yards, including a touchdown.
This time they were going to hold the inside and use the sideline as a defender, but the help came for Randy Moss in the form of a slip on the turf.
Moss with 17 touchdown catches on the year, 3 today. Here's Ford, and nothing doing. Oiler defense equal to the task. Under 2 minutes remaining in the third quarter in a tie game. And of course the Vikings looking, if they can't get the touchdown, to get it within range of Gary Anderson.
Darrell Lewis read that and had been coming on the blitz off the corner and caught him in the backfield to set up this 2nd and 11.
Well, the Vikings caught up in a hurry, didn't they, in the ball control department? They were way down to the Oilers in the second quarter. 2nd and 11. Here is Chris Carter downfield, makes the catch and gets the touchdown. A little Merton Hanks thrown in for good measure. He beat Darrell Lewis and beat him by plenty.
Dick, the way that was set up was Randy Moss has generally been going down the field. That time he ran about a 5-yard route and stopped. And because he stopped underneath, Chris Carter could come from the slot and get to the outside to run away from his coverage. And then the catch and the strength of Carter, he just shakes that tackle by Lewis off the top. Like, not even close.
38-yard play, and Gary Anderson's extra point is good. And now the Minnesota Vikings take a 23-16 lead over the Tennessee Oilers after a nip-and-tuck first half. 1:18 to go in the third. Randy Moss and now Chris Carter catching touchdown passes from Randall Cunningham. And 29 combined TD catches this season by Carter and Moss, and that is an NFL record by a wide receiver tandem. And doing the gunning, Randall Cunningham. And when the time comes for MVP in the National Football League this year, especially the NFC, Cunningham's got to be at the top. Mike Archie on the return and gets hit, and hit hard at the 21-yard line by Antonio Banks.
Let's watch this touchdown. They're going to get in man coverage. Moss is going to run down and out. He's going to come. Leroy Horde has to pick that up. Your safety help is in the middle of the field. When he bites, that opens this whole quadrant open. The only thing to help is over here. Can't get there in time. Nicely thrown ball away. Let your receiver run to it and run away from his coverage. And it's 6 quick. And an ugly dance by Chris Carter. I got to work with him on that thing.
You're going to work with him.
Oh, yeah, I've got rhythm. I've got music. Who could ask for anything more, really?
We can. Eddie George is back in the lineup. Had the injured hip. Missed the series, but he's in the lineup. First down on the 21-yard line, and the pitch goes to Eddie George. And the flag is down as George picks up about 7 yards. Orlando Thomas coming up from free safety on the stop.
Looks like it's going to be a hold against the Oilers. And it is.
Holding against the Oilers, and for Chris Carter, that touchdown catch was his 101st, breaking the tie with Steve Largent. So Carter now is second all-time behind Jerry Rice, who's way in front at 163.
And that was a hold, and it will go against the Oilers, and it will set up first and what, 16, 17?
17 yards. It'll be first and 17 with 48 seconds to go. Well, the Oilers in the shallow end of their field right now offensively and trailing by 7. And the handoff is to Eddie George, and George doesn't go anywhere. It'll be second down and very long for Tennessee. It's Dwayne Clemens and Corey Fuller. Robert Griffith made the play as well.
I like that Robert Griffith. He is really good, and he's good when he's deep. He's also good at the line of scrimmage. He can play. He's not a real big guy, but man, he will knock you out if he has a chance. Very physical, will run through the ball carrier and does it consistently.
And time is going to run out, and they're going to let this clock go. So 3 down and 1 to go here on this season finale in the regular campaign. That is the end of the third quarter with the score, the Vikings 23 and the Oilers 16. This Fox NFL special will continue after a word from your local Fox station. Here, Dennis Green saying yesterday the third quarter is our big quarter for that fan. Any quarter is a big quarter. They outscored them 15-3 to the Vikings.
I saw your basic Nordic Santa behind him.
Total yards, the Vikings with a big edge. Rodney Thomas at running back. McNair out of the shotgun, first down from the 14. McNair going up top and thrown out of bounds. It was Yancey Thigpen, the intended receiver, but this floated. It was a floater by McNair, bringing up second down.
They really don't have. If they have a guy who can run, they don't show it here. You know what I mean? This offense lacks a home run hitter down the field. They don't really push the ball down the field very much. Yancey Thigpen, I know, was beat up a little bit, but he doesn't have that Moss-like kind of speed where he could just run by everybody.
Third down with Mason and Kent lined up to the right. 3rd and 17. Pressure quickly, and the pass caught by Jackie Harris. That was speed on the Vikings as far as the pass rush with Derek Alexander and in the secondary, and it's time to kick for Tennessee.
Well, and then on the other side is John Randall, who's working on Sanderson. I knew they'd get there eventually. At that time, Clemens came untouched, and Randall had to defeat a blocker and still got there the same time that a guy who came clean got there.
So Craig Hentrick will kick it away. David Palmer with a fair catch at the 44-yard line. Early here in the fourth quarter. Looks like that the tempers have calmed somewhat, but the Vikings lead by 7. Minnesota Vikings in their best starting field position of the day. Beginning from their 43-yard line, first down, leading 23-16. Opening minute, fourth quarter, plenty of time, but there's a middle screen to Robert Smith. First down for the Vikings. His dream was to play football at Notre Dame. No one believed in him, but he never stopped believing in himself. It's based on a true story, Rudy's, a film of hope and triumph, tonight at 8, 7 Central, right here on Fox. Randall Cunningham perking it up in the second half after a 7 for 17 first 2 quarters, 10 of 11 and 2 touchdowns here in the second half. Robert Smith with a big opening off the right side, and the Vikings close to yet another first down to the Oilers' 35-yard line. Blaine Bishop made the hit on Smith.
Yeah, that sudden stop at the end was Blaine Bishop. The nice hole, cuts back. Backer goes a little bit too far, so he can take it up inside. Now watch the sudden stop. Boom. That's Blaine Bishop. That's what I was talking about. He and Robert Griffith. Heck, he got up there looking like he got the worst of it, but I believe he's doing a little bit of Muhammad Ali fake there.
Vikings first down on the 35-yard line, and Charles Evans with a carry gets 5 yards. Joe Bowden making the stop on the play. Of course, Blaine Bishop has been a perennial Pro Bowler, but this year Bruce Matthews, Eddie George, and Craig Hentrick, the punter, heading for Hawaii after the Super Bowl.
Dick, so many times it's been documented about Randall McDaniel's horrendous stance, and only one I could really think of who had another stance kind of like that was the old Raider tackle of Bob Boomer Brown. Remember how he'd take that right foot and stick it way back there? And Randall McDaniel does it to the left, but he kind of has that ugly left knee bend.
2nd and 5, Leroy Horde charging forward for a couple of yards. We'll bring up 3rd and short. James Roberson in on the play. Randall McDaniel, by the way, going to the Pro Bowl for the 10th time, which would tie the all-time record. Lawrence Taylor and Mike Singletary also went to 10 Pro Bowls.
Well, the way he's done it has been impressive, because he plays that left side, and nobody even says anything about him anymore. You go, well, you got McDaniel having an all-pro team. Well, you got McDaniel left guard. Where do we start after that? He's been like that for a long time.
The pitch to David Palmer on 3rd and 3, and Lonnie Martz is there to greet him. And so the offense foiled that time for the Vikings. And 4th down coming up.
Excellent job by Lonnie Martz to the outside. They brought Palmer in, and they were going to try to give him every advantage he can. So they tried to just go with a quick count and flip it outside to him. But Martz was ready for it and held the outside perfectly.
So Mitch Berger will come in to kick it away. Career high 67-yard punt in the first quarter. Derek Mason is deep, and there is Berger trying to keep it in play, not go into the end zone. He can't do it. Touchback, and the Oilers will come out to the 20-yard line. Vikings 23, Oilers 16 in the season finale for the Oilers. Vikings, of course, have a lot of play left. Touchdown, and Eddie George, who came back for a series after missing one with a hip injury, on the sidelines now. Rodney Thomas, who himself is bothered by a hamstring pull, is the running back. First down from the 20. 3 wide receivers for Steve McNair. McNair with a short rollout, looking for a receiver or running room. Right now can't find anything, and the pass downfield. McNair very nearly stepped out of bounds, but Jackie Harris made a diving catch in Viking territory, and it was very close for McNair as he let go of the ball. 33 yards, though, is the net gain for the Oilers.
Watch McNair. He's able to buy some time, and he holds on to this for the longest time. Stays with it, now roll to the right. He's waiting for somebody to come open. He still continues to roll when he sees it right here. And there's the throw. And what he's looking at is an area. He wants him to go back inside. Jackie Harris is able to twist his body back in and make the first down.
Oilers on the 48-yard line, and Rodney Thomas is smothered that time by Bobby Houston. Well, the NFC playoff picture right now, just one little element left. The Vikings, Falcons, and Cowboys, the division leaders and division champions. The 49ers and Packers are in the playoffs. What remains to be seen as to who will host that wild card game. Right now, San Francisco has the edge. Cardinals, right now, with the 3rd wild card spot, can wrap it up with a victory tomorrow, although Tampa Bay and the Giants still have a shot. 2nd and 10, pressure on McNair, and let's see what the call is. No flag is thrown, so he was in the act of passing. Tony Williams put the big pressure on.
Well, he's going to say
there is a flag now. We see a penalty marker down now at the 45.
Quarterback was still in the pocket. His throw is not affected by any of the contact. No receiver in the area. It's a 10-yard penalty. Plus loss of down.
Grounding and loss of down.
Yeah, Dwayne Rudd is the injured Minnesota Viking. There was no one in the area, and that's why they threw that flag. Come with the blitz. Rudd's up top, runs into Alexander. The ball is thrown. Now, they could have said that he was trying to throw it to Yancey Thigpen down the field. It could be that he was trying to throw it to Thigpen down the field, but he just couldn't get enough oomph on it. Here comes Rudd off the corner. They face now. Here he is right here. He's going to try to throw to. Now, as he starts to throw, he's hit. They're going to see it here, and there's nothing in the middle. Dwayne Rudd's back up.
And he's on the sideline. Pete Bursich takes his place. This is where you hold your breath. A team like the Vikings want to suffer any major injuries here in the last game of the regular season with nothing at stake. 3rd down and 20. McNair looking and spins away. He's a strong quarterback, and McNair finally stopped. John Randall caught up to him from behind, but not before he picked up 14 yards, and it's amazing how McNair was pretty sturdy, got away from all those defenders.
And it's also amazing how the coverage down the field has been so consistent for the Minnesota Vikings. Every time he's wanted to pull the trigger, it's not there.
You're right. The Vikings have blanketed the Oiler receivers.
At one point, Steve McNair, though, is going to have to learn that even though there's not, that the guy's, how should I say, he's in the area doesn't mean he's covered. You get to another level when you become a Brett Favre or a Steve Young, or right now Randall Cunningham and John Elway, Marino. Those guys, you don't have to be open by much to be open. A lot of young quarterbacks will see coverage and figure you're covered.
4th down.
Some learn it sooner than others.
Yeah, coverage doesn't mean covered. And he has a strong arm, and he's seeing things, but he has to believe that his arm can get there. Get the ball there, I should say.
And many of the running quarterbacks, you saw the 5-yard delay of game call. That is the 12th penalty against the Oilers. Cordell Stewart won. All the running quarterbacks tend to take off in a hurry. Here is Hentrick with the kick. Palmer is back. And the Oilers cannot keep it in play. Anthony Dorsett, with a valiant attempt, goes for naught. And so the Vikings will take over on the 20-yard line. The final day of the regular season, the oldest rivalry in the NFL resumes. The Packers and Bears from Soldier Field. Important for the Packers to host a wild card with a victory. 49ers and Rams later. Giants still in contention. Those are the games tomorrow. Most of you will see the Bears and Packers from Chicago tomorrow. As Brad Johnson, according to Dennis Green yesterday, would play in the second half, but has kept that jacket on throughout. It's been Randall Cunningham's show. Vikings from the 20. That's their worst starting position of the game. And the first pass out to Chris Carter is complete for 5.
Cunningham's pass complete to number 80, Chris Carter.
The other part of that left side of the all-pro tandem is Todd Stussy, left offensive tackle, who's really an interesting guy. He's a studier. He's a big, powerful guy. He's not a great athlete. He'll be the first one to tell you that. But he's a great studier. In fact, I was watching film with him last night to about probably 10:30 or so. Of course, he was stuffing a bunch of food down his face as he was watching.
That makes you a great student, too.
No, that just made me along with him, that's all.
2nd and 5, Robert Smith cutting upfield. Shy of the first down by about a yard.
You know, Stussy's a big man. He's 300 and some pounds, but he told me that it's hard for him to maintain his weight. Says he has to eat grocery bag after grocery bag to keep his weight up, and figures that when he's done playing, it will be easy for him to drop 70 pounds.
As opposed to Corey Stringer, who lost a lot of weight.
He did, and has gotten himself into pretty decent shape, but this guy's always in good shape, Stussy.
No one back there with Randall Cunningham on 3rd and 1 from the 29-yard line, and he calls his own number and dives for the first down.
I believe Randall Cunningham was the first quarterback to run the quarterback sneak, where you take a step back and then slide. Prior to that, it's just kind of bury your head and try to fall behind a guard's rear end and just get a good push. But what Cunningham started to do in Philadelphia was he'd take the snap, and then he'd come back, and then he'd just slide. See how he's going to slide, just kind of over to the right. He waits for it to open, picks his spot. Done it very well his whole career.
From the 31-yard line, winding down to 6 minutes remaining in the game. Robert Smith, no gain on the play. And in talking about Randall Cunningham, in discussion with Jeff Fisher, who of course knew him from the days in Philadelphia, he said that the one thing, and the big difference between Randall Cunningham in Philadelphia and the way Buddy Ryan handled things in here, is that Buddy Ryan may have gathered a lot of support players, but he never had the offensive line in Philadelphia that Randall Cunningham has here in Minnesota.
He also, I agree with that, and he also, though, has a lot more maturity than he's ever had. This is not your same Randall Cunningham as in Philadelphia.
Not even close. 2nd and 10 on the rollout. Pass caught by Carter. Flag is down, and let's see if there's a late hit against the Oilers. Darrell Lewis was in on the coverage. This is a deliberate officiating crew.
Not only that, they take their time.
That too. That's that Penn State education.
Yes,
again.
sirree. Nothing gets by me.
Rears its head all the time.
On the play, 3rd down.
There was a never mind. Basically, that thing was a never mind, and Chris Carter's giving him his advice, what he thinks about that never mind.
And it's good that they discuss it and make sure we pick it up instead of just automatically calling.
Well, this is the end of it, and Lewis is going to come over, and he grabs that head and face mask, kind of snuck one in there right there that nobody saw. Oh, yeah, take this.
Yeah. That should have been a penalty. 3rd down and 8 from the 33-yard line for the Vikings. Now they're going to adjust the clock.
The clock had been running, and Cunningham told we need more time. Now they don't have the play in. Cunningham's in the huddle, looking to the sideline, saying, hey, come on, give me the play.
They have to call a timeout.
He's going to have to. Going to tell him to let this thing go down to about 1 second and then call a timeout.
Brian Billick not very pleased with things, and so timeout is called by the Minnesota Vikings. You mentioned Brian Billick, the architect of this offense, and Randy Moss being the final piece of it. And as a result of this success, Brian Billick, a candidate for one of what saw at halftime in our studios, many coaching jobs set to open up.
It's going to be a little bit different, though, if he in fact does get that does get a chance to be a head coach, because you go to a place and you look around and say, okay, now, well, in Minnesota, you know, I took Chris Carter and I put him here. Oh, we don't have him. Okay, well, I'll take Randy Moss. Oh, we don't have him. Well, we'll hand the ball off to, oh, we don't have him. A little bit different. Players play. If you have players, you have a chance. If you don't have players, you could be George House and Don Shula and Eddie Robinson rolled into one. It's not going to matter.
5 minutes, 2 seconds, please. That will correct the time that was lost when we reset the play clock. Timeout.
So they're adjusting the clock to 5 minutes and 2 seconds. Jeff Fisher's Oilers still find themselves trailing by a touchdown here in the 4th quarter.
Well, I know 3 guys back in our studio who says, what's wrong with that picture? Looks fine to me.
Now, which 3 would that be?
I don't know.
3rd down and 8 following the Minnesota timeout. 5:02.
Oh, see, what they're doing now,
Charge him with the timeout.
because they messed the clock up, they're going to give Minnesota that timeout, and they will have taken an official's timeout instead. So both teams still have all 3 timeouts.
3rd down and 8. Randall Cunningham. And the pass is caught by Carter. 1st down. This is a team that has made, coming into this game with a penalty marker down now, an amazing 52% of their 3rd down conversions this year. That is phenomenal. And they made another here.
Carter wasn't too thrilled with Danon Sidney. He's saying got a face mask on him.
Number 37, 5-yard penalty.
David Sidney from University of Alabama, Birmingham, number 37.
Watch Chris Carter working, because he knows where the 1st down marker is. And, of course, you know, he gets away with a little bit of throwing the guy around, but there was the face mask at the end. He knows where he is on the field, and he just turns and dives just enough to get the 1st. He stopped right at that 1st down marker.
Vikings have been brilliant 3rd down conversions this year. Leroy Horn for a yard on the play. Well, coming up next, hang on tight, because Bumps and Jumps is back. Don't miss the world's best freestyle aerial artists and mogul masters when they hit the slopes. All the spills come your way immediately following football today on Fox. 2nd down and 9, less than 4.5 minutes remaining here in the 4th quarter. They had snow and ice this week.
The bumps and jumps down there.
They did. Mogul action there. 2nd and 9 on the the design play. Randy Moss holds onto it, makes the catch, short of the first down by about 3 yards.
Cunningham's pass complete to number 8.
Dick, what I've been waiting for today with Randy Moss didn't happen, because I believe you have to do it right from the start. I expected to see some of that Bear, Chicago Bear attitude go after, which is embodied by Jeff Fisher and his defense, to go after Randy Moss, because he doesn't like to come inside. He's a down the field player, and at one point, the old Raider rule was take your shot at him, blow him up, see how he responds to it. And I haven't seen that today, and I actually expected to see that.
3rd down and 3. David Palmer is in as well with 4 wide receivers. And another flag is thrown. A delay of the game coming up this time.
Offense, 5-yard penalty, 3rd down.
So instead of 3rd and 3, it'll be 3rd down and 8, to the consternation of Brian Billick. Back to the Viking 49. Defense is what John Randall and Ed McDaniel have exhibited today, and when they stopped the Oilers in the first half, where they had to settle for field goals, it played a major role in the fact that the Vikings are leading in this one here. Now it's 3rd and 8. Cunningham's pass caught. Let's see if it's enough for the first down. Andrew Glover, the tight end, and they have it. First down, Minnesota, and yet another 3rd down conversion by the Vikings. You consider 52% of 3rd down conversions. If you've got 45, you're doing a great job.
What impresses me is that Randall Cunningham doesn't lock on one guy. He throws it to everybody. He'll throw it to Palmer, Moss, Carter. He'll throw it to any of the tight ends, whether it's Greg DeLong or anybody. He's not afraid to throw it all around the field.
First down pass out to Randy Moss, and he gets tripped up. And it was Denard Walker, and if he had missed that play, you would have seen Moss prance into the end zone. Gain of 5 yards on the play. So Vikings within 3 minutes or so of establishing the best record in the NFL going into postseason at 15-1. Broncos losing their last 2 games.
Dick, they're even harder to beat in that dome. It's going to be a tough game for anybody who takes them on up there in Minneapolis.
Home field throughout for the Vikings. 2nd and 5. A fake, an interception.
Oh, nice tackle by Chris
Darrell
Carter.
Lewis with the interception. No Viking receiver anywhere in the neighborhood, and Darrell Lewis makes the pick.
He overshot Chris Carter. They did a nice job of being physical with Chris Carter underneath, and Cunningham let the ball go, went right over the top. Watch him jump this right here. Blaine Bishop does a good job of just staying right on top of him. Now, the ball sailed on him. Watch Carter finish the play. Boom, that's a nice tackle on Lewis. Ball took off on him. He had been anticipating Carter to come back inside.
Lewis with his 4th interception of the year to lead the Oilers in that department. So Tennessee gets a break here, and a first down on the 16, trailing by a touchdown. 2:46 remaining. First turnover of the game. High snap on the shotgun, and McNair's pass bounces in front of the intended receiver, Kevin Dyson. Dyson, by the way, was the last wide receiver drafted ahead of Randy Moss. He is from the University of Utah. And a lot of teams, as you know, passed on Randy Moss because of his off-the-field checkered pass. Chris Carter has taken him under his wing. So Dyson looks like he's got something to shoot for as well. 2nd down, 10. Pass drill. Oh, great catch. And Hitchcock was there, and a catch made by Thigpen as he battled Jimmy Hitchcock for the ball and 1 out.
And he caught that with pure hands, Dick. Hitchcock was right there on the coverage. Watch how he holds the outside, and then watch him drive the ball. Good anticipation. Watch the hands. Goes up, gets it, pulls it down. I see that gets me excited. I really enjoy seeing good football. That was a good football play.
Thigpen inactive for 7 games with knee surgery. Coming off his best effort last week. First down at the 31-yard line. Oilers need a touchdown here. going deep this time for Sanders and nearly intercepted by Ramos McDonald.
Well, he went over the top of Ramos McDonald. Chris Sanders, he hung the ball up, and Sanders was underneath him and had to go over the top of McDonald to make that play. Remember, both players have a right to the football when it's in the air. Defender turned, now go for the football. He jumped over the top of him.
Good positioning by McDonald. 2nd and 10. 2:27 remaining in the 4th. McNair getting away from John Randall. Fires on the run. Incomplete. That'll bring up 3rd down. Joey Kent was the intended receiver and covered by the free safety Orlando Thomas.
I believe Orlando Thomas is quite. There's been so many guys who've had good years. Orlando Thomas has had an excellent year. It's where he was 2 years ago. And it's because he's had that kind of a year that his corners have been able to play well. Because Hitchcock will rely on him. Ramos McDonald will rely on him. Fuller relies on him. They rely on him to be there when they take chances.
3rd down and 10 at the 31-yard line. Out of the shotgun. Multiple wide receivers for McNair. And this pass incomplete. And it was Dwayne Rudd downfield defending Yancey Thigpen. And that'll bring up 4th down. And so the Oilers are going to go for it on 4th down. They bring in Kevin Dyson. They need 10 yards to keep it going with 2:14 remaining in the 4th quarter. 23-16. Vikings leading, and the Tennessee Oilers in their last game, known as the Oilers, will be the Titans starting next year. 4th down and 10. Pressure up the middle, and the pass incomplete.
Dick, I was waiting for that all game long, and it came right at the end. And that was John Randall lined up on Runyon, and he went by him like a shot. It's what I'd been waiting for. He'd been up and down the line, and then this last instant, he lines up over Runyon, something the Oilers had been waiting for all game long, and here it finally came. Eddie McDaniel came up inside. They ran the blitz, and he went past him fast.
So the Vikings will take over on downs, and they are on the 30-yard line of the Oilers, who now have to use their timeouts on defense, stop the Vikings, and hope they get the ball back, still trailing by 7. Hand off to Leroy Horde. Horde finding some running room. He's got strength and gets about 7 yards as we wind down close to the 2-minute warning, and a timeout called for by the Oilers prior to the 2-minute warning. Well, as we said, the end of an era and a great tradition of the Oilers, which we showed you earlier, and this team now will be called, and it's pretty good nickname, the Tennessee Titans. And merchandise-wise, they did a great job. That's the new stadium that'll seat 67,000. Opening up next year, and when they put the merchandise up at the stores this week, they sold out in less than an hour. New colors, navy blue, a little silver, some of the Columbia blue and red.
Here's a little hot tip for all you merchandisers. Win and you'll do fine. Lose and you're not selling much.
That's what it's all about.
This brought to you by that Penn State Education and Marketing. Thank you very much.
Speaking of marketing, Red McCombs done a great marketing job on the Minnesota side of things, because winnings help them too with their merchandise. 2nd and 3. Leroy Horde gets the 1st down, and that should be all they wrote soon. As the 2-minute warning coming up at 1:57 on the clock. The Vikings won't do anything fancy from here on out. 57 remaining in the 4th quarter. The highest scoring team in NFL history, coached by Dennis Green. The Minnesota Vikings lead the Tennessee Oilers 23-16. 1st down on the 18-yard line. Vikings taking over after the Oilers failed on 4th down. Fumble. Ball kicked away. Leroy Horde picks it up. decided to run with it, and now the Oilers call a timeout. Horde not content in just picking the ball up and keeping it there.
That's just couldn't find the handle. Part of that, I believe, has to be that left hand of Randall Cunningham. Leroy Horde wasn't too shy about not only making sure he gets it, he wanted to advance and get some positive yards out.
Amazing how Randall Cunningham has played this entire game with a broken bone in his left hand. Brad Johnson poised to come in and see some action in case he's needed in postseason, but Cunningham has been in there all the way.
No amount of tape in wrapping it up is going to help that bone feel any better. I mean, look at that thing. He's got a little couple pieces of gauze and a little thing over the top of it. Like, it's not going to make a bit of difference, but you have to remember, every time he takes a snap, that's pressure into that hand.
And for those who figured that the Vikings would play all their backups and take their starters out in this game, which didn't mean anything to them other than records, not so. 2nd down and 17 on the Oiler 25.
Dennis Green said he was going to play this game to win, and he has.
Here's Leroy Horde for a couple of yards. And the Oilers will use up their last timeout. Well, today's game is being produced by Richard Zients and directed by Artie Kempner. The associate director is Greg Scopatoni. The broadcast associates are Clark Pierce and Adrian Hasselmeyer. And the technical producer is Dan Rotanti, and a great job done by this crew.
There's Richie Zients, there's Artie, there's Scopatoni back
There's
here.
more. The technical director is Rich Basili.
There he is.
Get him. And handling our audio, which you can't see, is Jeff Cohen, because he's not in our truck. The pregame show is produced by Scott Ackerson and directed by Bob Levy. The senior producer is Bill Brown, and the executive producers of Fox Sports are Ed Gorin and David Hill.
You can see just how pleased our producer Richie Zients is with that. I'm surprised he didn't throw a coat over his head like he usually does. he hates all that stuff.
Shies away from publicity, you notice? 3rd down and 16. And Charles Evans, the fullback, for a couple of yards. I want to remind you that our studio in Los Angeles will go over the entire playoff picture coming up after the game. And here's Gary Anderson, who has been perfect on the year. Anderson today has kicked 2 field goals, 39 and 23 yards, plus successful on 2 extra points. He's tied the NFL record for most points scored this season. So a couple of more records could go by the wayside. And this 39-yard field goal is good. And Gary Anderson will go down as the first perfect place kicker in NFL history in a given season. And he is mobbed by his teammates. And don't think that is not a great value to a team. He went to Minnesota because he wanted to kick indoors. You can't blame him for that, on artificial surface. Accepts congratulations as the Vikings extend their lead to 26-16.
That is just money. You have a guy who you know every time he walks out there onto the field, that's it. You got yourself your 3 points.
He gets the scoring record. He gets the perfect record. The Vikings setting more, including maybe the biggest one today, and that is the fact that they are the highest scoring team ever, breaking the Redskins mark of 541 points set in '83. They'll go 15-1, and I guess there's only one thing left for this Minnesota Viking team to achieve.
And let me temper all those scoring marks by keeping this in mind. The team that set the mark, that '83 Redskin team, ended their season with a lot of points and a loss in the Super Bowl to a Raider team that just slapped them, led by Howie Long and Ted Hendricks and Rod Martin and Marcus Allen and a whole slew of guys. I say with a lot of pride, thank you very much.
You know,
I said that for Theismann, you know, because I just had to say it.
Silver and black always rears its head sooner or later with some of their great achievements.
Black Sunday, 38-9.
Here is Mitch Berger's kickoff. Mike Archie returning from the end zone. with a minute remaining now in this game, and Archie brings it out to the 34-yard line. And the Oilers now trailing by 10 points. Amazing that the Minnesota Vikings only trailed once this year in the fourth quarter, and that was against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers in Week 9, where they suffered their only defeat of the year. Actually, they had a lead and then lost it in the fourth quarter. And what's amazing, as you look at Steve Matthews, the new quarterback for the Oilers, is that the biggest deficit that the Vikings faced this year was 11 points. That to the Chicago Bears. Never behind more than 11 in any game this year. So Steve Matthews operating out of the shotgun with under a minute remaining. And the pass is intercepted by Corey Fuller on the deflection off of Roan. Corey Fuller with a flag down. Penalty marker down, but Fuller gets inside the 15-yard line, so we'll see what the flag's all about upfield. Pass was deflected off of the tight end Michael Roan into the hands of Corey Fuller. Why not?
You know, you have to think about that and practice that stuff in practice. You don't just, it doesn't
show up in a game.
Exactly. Gonna figure out what this flag is all about.
Hands to the illegal hands to the face against the Vikings.
Illegal use of the hands to the face. Number 24, defense. That's a 5-yard penalty. Still first down. Tennessee ball.
So nullify that interception by Fuller. Robert Griffith with illegal hands to the face before the interception was made. So it was pre-possession, and so now the Oilers will maintain the ball with 41 seconds or 40 on the clock.
I think the one team in the AFC that I believe you have to keep your eyes on is the New York Jets. Now, they're not going to sneak up on anybody because they're playing extremely well, but I believe that's the one team that if it goes to Denver, can beat the Broncos in Denver. And I believe the one team that has a chance to beat this Minnesota Viking team in Minnesota is the Green Bay Packers if they get healthy, because they believe they can beat them.
First down and 5, and the pass to Derek Mason. And that is enough for the first down.
That's you know, the Packers getting healthy is the biggest key, because if they go into Minnesota with all their guns and a Brett Favre who is what he is, they have a good chance.
Matthews pass, and it is incomplete, as ruled out of bounds. I'll tell you, Bill Parcells can engineer a victory anywhere, anytime, and he's shown that he can do it on the road. So winning at Denver is something he definitely can do. And it's very hard for a team to beat another good team 3 times in 1 year, and that's what the Vikings would have to do if they do play Green Bay.
And it's also it's a familiarity, and you know each other, you know what to expect, and there's a certain level to that matters. You know, Dick, talking about the New York Jets, I believe if you're going to pick an assistant coach of the year, my vote would go to Bill Belichick. I think he's had a great year.
Matthews passes to Roan. It's caught, first down, but time is beginning to run out. Bursic making the tackle. You're right. He has had a great game plan defensively all season long. The time has run out on the clock, and that'll do it. And the Minnesota Vikings have become only the 3rd team in NFL history to win 15 regular season games. The 49ers and Bears did it for previously, and both of those teams won Super Bowls. The final score today, the Minnesota Vikings 26, the Tennessee Oilers 16, 15-1, highest scoring team ever, and a bunch of records falling by the wayside. So for Matt Millen, Dick Stockton saying so long from Vanderbilt Stadium, where the Oilers finish up 8-8. And we want to remind you to stay tuned for the post-game show with JB, Terry, Howie, and Chris following these messages. So long, everybody.
What's your...
TBS Sports welcomes you to the following presentation of the National Football League.
In the modern era of professional football, no 2 teams represent the competitive spirit more than the Oakland Raiders and the Kansas City Chiefs. Their history and tradition has made legends of their former coaches and owners. Al Davis and Lamar Hunt are two of the most influential figures in the creation and success of the old American Football League. Their fierce rivalry has provided indelible images that are entrenched in football lore.
He's got a first down, and he's brought down at the 28-yard line. Here's a flag, and there's Ben Davidson being jumped on by one of the Chiefs. There are at least 8 Chiefs. Here come all the Raiders. Holy Toledo, it's a free-for-all.
Oakland 27, Kansas City 22. Back into the pocket, rush from the outside. Gerbach throwing for the end zone. Got it, he got a touchdown! 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 Kansas City!
The Chiefs and the Raiders, almost impossible to mention one without the other, linked together in history by heroes of a bygone era. In 1998, the Chiefs have had one of their most disappointing seasons in their history. A shockwave to the organization that could prompt a tidal wave of changes. Oakland started out 1998 with a promising 6-2 record under rookie head coach John Gruden. But a 4-game losing streak eliminated the Raiders from the playoffs for the 5th straight year, leaving them to play only for the pride of a winning season. It's the Raiders and the Chiefs, a throwback game from another era, a rivalry that has stood the test of time.
Behind his blockers and coming down on the right side.
Can there be any doubt now that we are in Oakland in the midst of Raider fans for a renewal of this rivalry that had its inauguration in 1960? These two bitter old foes, original members of the American Football League. They meet today for the 80th time in a rivalry that is very close. Happy holidays, everybody. Welcome to the Bay Area. I'm Vern Lundquist along with Randy Cross. We get to see a bit of the old at quarterback for the Oakland Raiders today.
Well, the bit of the old is Wade Wilson, almost 40 years old, but he's done well when he's had to play for the Raiders. He's very steady, but look for the Raiders to do a little bit more of the down the field, old Raiders-style vertical passing against this Kansas City defense. For the Kansas City Chiefs, it's Elvis Gerbach starting another game at the quarterback position for the Chiefs, and Elvis, very important for him. He's got to prove to Chiefs fans and Marty Schottenheimer that he can be their quarterback next year.
Neither the Chiefs nor the Raiders will be in the playoffs this year, but that is not expected to lessen the intensity that we will have in the Bay Area this afternoon. Back in a moment.
At age 23, he set out to do what no computer company had ever done. Build every computer to order, back every computer with service, and work hand in hand with every customer. As the world's leading direct marketer of computer systems, Dell is far outpacing the industry growth rate. Where do you learn about companies that are actually changing the way the world does business? Exactly. NASDAQ Amex, the market of markets.
Kansas City won the opener between these two. Game 1 of the season, 28-8. Oakland looking for revenge, and we check in with Michelle Tafoya.
All right, Vern, I'm with John Gruden. And, Coach, after a 4-12 finish last season, 8-8 would seem pretty good, especially for a first-year head coach this season. Why is it so important for this team to finish above 500?
Well, we have goals here like everybody else. This is a big game against an arch rival, and we've not had a lot of success against Kansas City recently. We want to change that today.
Good luck, Coach. Thanks. Back up to you, Vern.
All right, Michelle, thank you. Kansas City won the toss. They will receive, and they will do so under partly cloudy skies with a 55-degree temperature and a humidity of only 40%. Might get a little rain, but if it does rain, it will come in late this afternoon. And as has been the custom for the Raiders since they moved back to from Los Angeles, no sellout today here at the Coliseum. A lot of empty seats, as a matter of fact. Greg Davis will kick off. And Tamarick Vanover gets ready to return it for the Kansas City Chiefs. Game 1 back in September. This team in white had aspirations of a Super Bowl this year. They had come off a 13-3 record. They won that one in a convincing fashion, 28-8. And once they got to 4-1 and got throttled by New England, the Chiefs never recovered. Now 6-9 against the 8-7 Oakland Raiders. Here is Vanover at the 5. And he's dropped as he gets to the 26-yard line. The tackle made by Travian Smith. Elvis Gerbach back in the starting lineup. Started the season, pulled after an injury and a losing streak. And his support staff up front will include at left tackle Jeff Criswell, Glenn Parker, Tim Grunhard, Will Shields bound for the Pro Bowl, and Victor Riley. Sam Morris and Kimball Anders in the backfield, Andre Rison and Derek Alexander the wideouts, and Tony Gonzalez at tight end. Gonzalez tight to the right. Gerbach hands it off. Van Morris spins and is dropped by Richard Harvey, number 52, in the silver and black. Defensively, for the Oakland Raiders, a dramatic improvement this year. Up front, they start with James Harris, Russell Maryland, Darrell Russell, and Lance Johnstone. 21 sacks between the two. Wooden, Beekert, Richard Harvey are the linebackers. And in the secondary, Charles Woodson, Albert Lewis, the former chief, Anthony Newman, and Marquise Walker. 2nd and 11. Power run to the right side. Van Morris out to the 32-yard line. Richard Harvey with his second tackle in as many plays.
And Vern, one thing Marty Schottenheimer's offense is going to see out of this Oakland Raider defense is multiple looks from the defensive front. And Marty knows full well that defensive coordinator Willie Shaw of the Oakland Raiders is got to give him blitzes. He's going to give him various different little things from the outside of the defense, trying to attack and put pressure on Elvis Gerbach and create doubt in his mind.
Kimball Anders is the only running back. He gets the handoff. This one might come back. A flag thrown. Anders close for the first down. Anthony Newman, Richard Harvey. Here's Mike Carey. Now a matter of determining who was guilty of the hold.
Holding. Offense number 61. 10-yard penalty. It remains 3rd down.
A holding penalty on Tim Grunhard there, the center. He's going to be working on Grady Jackson. See that right hand come to the right and just yank him right straight over the umpire right there, right in front of him. When you're a center or a guard and you're inside, if you don't keep your hands inside, you are dead meat. That umpire's staring right at you.
3rd and 14. You see that stripe across the 36-yard line. The CBS first down. Blitz. Screen pass. Incomplete for Anders. Marquise Walker, number 38.
That's exactly what I was talking about, Vern. You know, the Raider defense knows they've got a quarterback in Elvis Gerbach that's less than confident right now. This guy's been yanked. He sat on the bench. The best thing to do in this situation is go after him, pressure him with the blitz. You've got the people downfield that are very good coverage people. Give him the blitz, create the doubt in his mind.
Desmond Howard with 2 punt returns for touchdowns this season. He waits for Louis Aguiar's first effort of the day, and this one wobbles a bit, taken by Howard at the 38. In trouble, escapes, and then is down at the 41-yard line. The tackle made by Bracy Walker. 40-yard punt, 4 on the return. Wade Wilson comes on for his 3rd start as a Raider quarterback when we come back.
All right, captains, we're going to have a coin toss now. If there's a team, we'll call it in the air. We want a good, clean game. We're all professionals here. Does anyone have change for $1?
What? Want to get away? Southwest has your ticket to freedom. For only $99 or less, you can fly coast to coast when you purchase by January 19th and travel January 5th through June 3rd.
You are now free to move about the country.
Everything was going well on Frank's first night as foreman until he made one tiny mistake.
There's a Ford F-Series in the lot with the lights on. There's a Ford F-Series with the lights on.
F-Series is America's best-built, best-selling truck. It's 50 years tough. And obviously, for a lot of people, it's the only truck that's tough enough. Next time, Frank, get the plate number. Ford F-Series, the biggest, toughest trucks ever built Ford Tough.
What you don't get with cut-rate car insurance is a State Farm agent to turn to when you need help.
I'm lonely.
So if you get into an accident,
I'm Mr. Lonely.
you could end up feeling
Wish I had someone
very much alone.
to call on.
Don't want to feel all alone? Go with the good neighbor service you get with a State Farm agent.
Broncos, 49ers, Cowboys. America's team is back when the Magnificent Seven returns CBS Friday, January 8th.
Welcome back to the Bay Area, the Raiders' first possession. Wade Wilson gets his third start in a Raider uniform. Of course, spent most of his career with the Minnesota Vikings, then stops in Atlanta, New Orleans, and the Dallas Cowboys. Now split backs on 1st down and 10. Harvey Williams to the left of Wade Wilson, and Wilson flips it out to Harvey Wilson. Williams in the flat. Greg Favors comes over to make the tackle at the 43-yard line. Well, Wade Wilson says pass protection critical this week. Pass protection has been a problem for the Raiders all season. They've given up 61 sacks, though none last week. Collins, Wisniewski, Robbins, Ashmore, and Kennedy, the offensive line. Harvey Williams for an injured Napoleon Kaufman. John Ritchie. Wideouts are Brown and Jett, and the tight end Ricky Dudley. 2nd down and 8. That's Tim Brown in motion. Bit of a play fake for Wade Wilson. Goes deep. He's got a man open. Dudley, the tight end. And the catch made inside the Kansas City 40-yard line. Reggie Tongue with a tackle.
The matchup you have to watch all day long is going to be Mo Collins working against Derek Thomas. That was great protection. But look at Dudley working down the field. When you get that kind of protection and you get a zone defense, you can get this kind of time to throw the ball. And Wade Wilson took a little shot to the chops there.
18-yard gain and a 1st down inside the 40. This time the handoff to Harvey Williams. He comes left and is down at the 36-yard line. Well, Marty Schottenheimer said the biggest problems his team has encountered have been on the defensive side of the ball. They've got Parton, Bart, McLaughlin, and Derek Thomas up front. The linebackers are Favors, Donnie Edwards, and Anthony Davis. In the secondary, Dale Carter on the inactive list today with an injury. His place taken by Mark McMillan. It's Hasty, Woods, and Tongue to complete that 4. And again, you see the CBS 1st down marker to the left. Here's Wilson's 2nd pass out to Tim Brown. 92 games in a row. Brown fumbles, but he goes out of bounds. Mark McMillan with the hit. And Brown.
Well, just a smart play here by Wade Wilson. He's getting the coverage is off. He sees it's off. He knows I go 1, 2, fake, go, throw. And then let Tim Brown, who runs as well after the catch as anybody in the league, but Mark McMillan put his helmet right there on the football. Look at McMillan head across the body right on the ball, and the Raiders catch a break. That one going out of bounds.
Raiders have had problems with fumbles this season. That's their 33rd of the year, but they get this one back. 1st down and 10. Brown in motion to the left side. Randy Jordan, number 28, who saw extensive action last week in a 7-point win in San Diego, gets his first carry. Young man who was a special team star, but because Kaufman is out, Jordan got a chance to play extensively last week.
And what you're going to see out of Randy Jordan is a lot of what you just saw there. I know a lot of people out there don't know who Randy Jordan is, but he says, look, I'm getting my shot, and when I get the ball, I'm going to go. And there's a lot of young running backs out there that are getting shots as 1st and 2nd rounders that want to dance. There's no dancing to Randy Jordan. He just goes when they give it to him.
Randy Jordan remains in the backfield with John Ritchie. On 2nd down, Wilson back, blitz coming. Donnie Edwards got him. Middle linebacker, that's the 2nd time Edwards is blitzed, and he drew a bead on Wade Wilson.
Well, remember, when these teams met in the first game, the Kansas City Chiefs defense had 10. That's 10 sacks. Look at Donnie Edwards go all the way around the game. No one can get him. Jordan, the halfback, was going to try to block him, but there's no way he'd get around that pile before Donnie Edwards get there for the sack. And Donnie Edwards is a player that I think personifies the type of defensive player Marty Schottenheimer wants on his team. He's smart and he doesn't make mistakes.
3rd and 14. Blitz coming again. Wilson. Little crossing pattern. Tim Brown looks for a block from Ritchie. And they convert on 3rd and 14. Ron George trailing Tim Brown. They needed 14 and they got 17.
Yeah, and one of the misconceptions of this Bill Walsh style offense is you do it with dinks and dunks. Well, you get the ball to the receivers in dinks and dunks, but it's predicated on the yards after the catch and the skill level of your receivers. And when you got a receiver like Tim Brown catching the ball, right now starts Tim Brown time. Now Tim Brown can go back to being that great punt returner and can get the ball down the field.
Tim Brown gets a rest, a first down for Oakland on their first drive of the day. And here's Harvey Williams back in the lineup. He cracks the 15, gets down to the 14-yard line. Donnie Edwards with the stop. Again, Napoleon Kaufman inactive for the last 2 weeks. John Gruden telling us a couple of days ago his season is over.
Well, he had the ankle back-to-back. He did it against Baltimore. Then he did it against Seattle here in Oakland. And then he did a groin. So that means Harvey Williams and Jordan have to share things. And, you know, when you look at it this defensively, you look at it defensively from Kansas City standpoint, you're going to get it by committee. But really the key is his fullback, John Ritchie's a very good lead blocker.
Jordan back in on 2nd and 9. Wilson goes deep in the corner for Brown. Got a touchdown. Just a couple of guys from Dallas. Wade Wilson, Tim Brown. Touchdown Oakland.
I mentioned John Ritchie. He did a great job picking up the blitz, but watch Tim Brown just working by himself. Straight up the field, straight to the corner, perfectly dropped in by Wade Wilson. And, you know, the Raiders did the whole package here offensively down the field. Great play calling by John Gruden, good pass protection by the offensive line, and hard running when they needed it.
Extra point from Greg Davis is up and through. Wade Wilson, 5 of 5 on the drive. Tim Brown had 3, including the touchdown.
This is a message for Brian Hegarty, card member since '91. One reason to use your American Express card this holiday season is that just about any gift you buy is insured.
Hi.
Yet another reason to do more with the American Express card.
Now that the Bunny has the new advanced battery, it's a whole new ballgame. You have to be prepared for just about anything. Ain't that right, boys?
New Energizer Advanced formula. No battery lasts longer.
Marty's here. Let's see a fuel injector for a Ford Pro. A starter for a Saab. EGR valve for a 74 Gremlin. Ah! See you tomorrow, Marty. Pep Boys. Cars like us.
People love us.
How do you keep the world's leading companies 100% satisfied? Just make them 100% successful. That's how Siebel has become the global leader in information systems for world-class sales, marketing, and customer service organizations. We do whatever it takes to make sure our customers are 100% satisfied, 100% successful.
Siebel, the global leader in sales, marketing, and customer service systems.
The NFL on CBS is sponsored by Southwest Airlines, proud sponsor of the NFL and official airline of the Super Bowl. American Express. American Express helps you do more. And by Energizer, no battery lasts longer.
58-yard drive in 9 plays for the Raiders. They take an early 7-0 lead. In this 80th meeting, that includes 3 playoff games between these two teams. 58 yards. Wade Wilson, perfect. Greg Davis will kick off for the second time. Vanover camps under it and grabs it at the 9. Hit initially at the 23-yard line by Vince Amy, number 92, and then tackled at the 30.
Well, let's show you what happened on that touchdown pass and why it was. I talked about John Ritchie and good blocking. Look at Jordan, look at Ritchie when the linebackers blitz and the job they do stepping up, stopping this blitz. That gives Wade Wilson a little time. That keeps his face clean, and he's able to drop this passage.
Second possession now for Kansas City. Tim Brown gets a rest, having grabbed 3 for 39 yards in that drive. Gonzalez sets up tight to the left side. They're back to Bam Morris, who circles outside, breaks the first contact. Marquise Walker missed the tackle, and Greg Beaker came up to make it. Tonight on CBS, he's a mean, unlean fighting machine, and he's America's least likely network star. Sammo Hung turns up the heat in the hit action series Martial Law. Tonight on CBS. Randy saw that last night. You've been working on that move all day.
Oh, he's got nose guard written all over him, but I like the touch of the skateboard, though. It's kind of, he's willing to do whatever it takes.
Second down. Gerback deep right side for Derek Alexander. Incomplete. Charles Woodson, number 24, defending.
And this is something that teams have done the last couple weeks against Charles Woodson, is they've decided to go after him. Teams for a while said, no, we're going to go away from him. Last week, Craig Wheelahan went down the field and got himself a big touchdown pass against Charles Woodson. And Woodson might see a little bit of that in his future starting next year. Good effort. Look at the Derek Alexander and the concentration going up and keeping an eye on that ball.
3rd and 6, the Raiders best in the NFL on third down defense. They yield 26.5. This one picked off, tipped and intercepted, grabbed by Richard Harvey. His first interception of the season.
And that was all set up by Charles Woodson. They went after him the last play. Well, this play, he was staring at Elvis Durbach. He got a jump on the ball, and he caused that tip. He caused that interception. Woodson's all the way out to the right side, away from the screen. Look at him, look at the quarterback. Makes the break on the ball, tips the pass, and sets the interception up. That's the kind of athlete this young guy is, and he loves to stare at the quarterback. See the head snap around and look at the quarterback, and he makes his break when he sees it.
And he got popped by Richard Harvey, so he set up the interception, and he paid the price for it. Here's Wilson. 5 for 5 so far. A lot of time. Deep right side. This and Tim Brown and James Hasty were having a conversation at the 12, and the ball went to the goal line.
Well, something happened there that I was talking about earlier about what I think we're going to get in this game. You're going to get a lot of action down the field. Watch James Jett just trying to go down and do the old vertical passing game the Raiders have always had. Wade Wilson wants to throw it. He's getting the protection. Good job down the field by Gunther Cunningham's defense, just saying,
Terry Mickens and Kenny Shedd on the field now on 2nd down and 10. Here's the reverse to Tim Brown. But the Chiefs, and Brown fumbles, goes back and gets a fortuitous hop. It came right back up into his hands. Anthony Davis, number 50, made the contact.
Well, Anthony Davis and Leslie O'Neal. You know, Derek Thomas started the game at that Falcon position, and there's Derek Thomas right there. But working on the outside, Leslie O'Neal comes from the backside there, disrupts the whole thing. Davis causes the fumble. You know, these are the kind of things you see in the last game of the year. John Gruden's trying to create things, trying to create opportunities, almost an option play, and you're using a guy you know runs an airway in Tim Brown, but he just doesn't hold on to the ball.
3rd and 17. Wilson back, and again with protection. The defender slips, and for the second time, the Raiders convert a 3rd and more than 14.
They want to push the ball down the field against the Kansas City defense. And when you push the ball down the field on this offense, that means James Jett. But look how long this all takes. Look, move, find the quarterback. That means good pass protection. And when you're trying to defend a guy like James Jett, the last thing you do is let him get by you. And that's why he's able to set up in front of Mark McMillan and get that body turn for Wade Wilson.
Up the middle, Randy Jordan gets another carry. Jordan had 82 yards last week, as we said. Started his career here in '93 was dropped and was out of football for a year, a couple of years in Jacksonville, and now back.
Well, it's good to see somebody named Jordan working this time of year.
Bada bing. Yeah, but you know, financially, I think the other Jordan is okay.
He's okay. Hasn't had to quite struggle through his career as much as Randy Jordan has.
Timeout, Raiders! 2nd down and 9. Play clock winding down, so Wade Wilson uses one of the Oakland timeouts. Raiders lead 7-0.
The North Star system, performance and technology that set Cadillac apart from every other luxury car in the world. Now, for a limited time during the Cadillac Performance Drive, a 1999 Seville with the North Star system can be yours for just $549 a month and just $14.99 due at lease signing. Seville for just $549 a month, a powerful way to set yourself apart during the Cadillac Performance Drive. See your Cadillac dealer today.
Dandruff, psoriasis, scalp dermatitis. If you ask all the dermatologists listed here to recommend a therapeutic shampoo, Neutrogena T-Gel would come out #1. T-Gel works on all 3 itchy, flaky scalp conditions. Neutrogena T-Gel, it works.
Introducing the new Nicotrol inhaler. Now available by prescription. Ask your doctor if it's right for you. For more information, visit our website or call 1-800-INHALER.
On America's Night of Heroes, the guy who gets tomorrow's news is found out.
That kid snuck in here. He wasn't supposed to see it.
But what will he do with the secret?
Mommy doesn't believe it happened.
Early edition. And Time magazine calls Sammo Hung America's least likely, most refreshing network star.
That was hot.
Thank you. For martial law. Then science made him indestructible.
There's a complete medical revolution.
Invincible.
You did hit him, didn't you?
And somebody has to stop him. Walker, CBS tonight.
Can Ray handle spending one night in his brother's room?
Hey, could you, put a shirt on?
Everybody loves Raymond.
And some underpants?
CBS Monday.
Beautiful shots from high above here in Oakland being provided today by the Fujifilm blimp. With a gas bag so large, it says here, over 750,000 regulation footballs could fit inside. I don't write them, I just read them. 2nd down and 9. Wilson deep in the corner for Jett and McMillan. And a little contact ruled incidental and the pass incomplete.
Yeah, actually, I think James Jett got away with a pretty good shot there about the goal line, pushing off on Mark McMillan. And it's a side of the football game we don't see much nowadays as an offensive player getting called for that kind of push-off. But down the field, I think the offensive player, in this case, James Jett, has the advantage working against a much shorter Mark McMillan.
On their opening drive of the game, the Raiders converted a 3rd and 14. Earlier in this drive, 3rd and 17. Now, they're looking at 3rd and 9. Wilson into the flat, dropped by Harvey Williams. And James Hasty was there to make sure with a secure tackle he would not have gotten the first down. So Greg Davis will come on to try and increase the Raider lead. Davis in his 12th year for the season 16 of 25.
And one thing this does, though, Vern, is you start getting a lead on Kansas City. If Elvis Gerbach didn't like the blitzes early, they can put a 10-point lead on the board here. He's going to get even more blitzes and more pressure.
Leo Araguz will hold. Adam True snaps it back. 41 yards. Nope. Davis unsuccessful from 41. Chiefs get the ball back as we play in Oakland.
Johnson, I'd like to see some ideas on saving the company money. I'll be back first thing in the morning.
Think.
That's the dumbest! Help!
Well, Johnson, Staples. That'll save us a lot of money. You are a genius.
For all the supplies you need at guaranteed low prices, it's Staples.